What's up, s'mores? I love binging Unhinged recap videos. I've seen so many of them for shows that I could not care less about, but I noticed that there were none that existed for YELLOWJACKETS, and I just thought to myself, no, I want there to be one for YELLOWJACKETS because I want to watch one for YELLOWJACKETS. So I planned it out and figured out a way to make an Unhinged recap for YELLOWJACKETS utilizing some poster boards and a crap ton of photos, a lot of which I printed from CVS, some of which I just printed from a regular printer, which is why the adult timeline has mainly printer photos because budget. I also fully intend on talking about the queer coding of a lot of the characters because this show is one of the best examples of queer coding that I've seen in a very long time. And I'm very curious to know what people think about YELLOWJACKETS and to hear people's theories about YELLOWJACKETS. I love discussing those things. I love reading theories and I love coming up with theories. It's probably the best part about being in this fandom. Let's get into the Unhinged recap. Okay, so here we are. This will be our teen timeline. First event happens in the teen timeline, but it happens out of timeline order. It is the beginning of the pilot as well as the end of the pilot. That is this scene right here. So essentially, Pit Girl scene, it is winter, dead of winter, and this girl comes out and she's wearing like very short white dress and she's like running through the woods. She's terrified. She hears howling off in the distance and she's trying to run away from the howling naturally. We see that she's got like bloody footprints, so clearly she's injured, and as she's running, as she's like about to escape, she just pivots and just falls right into a pit. So they get her out of the pit and they essentially, how should I word this without getting demonetized? They prepare her for a feast. In this shot, they're waiting for the Antler Queen to give them permission to eat the feast. Opening scene, soccer game. We're on the soccer field and we are introduced to a ton of characters right off the bat. This is the YELLOWJACKETS soccer team. We are introduced to a bunch of characters right off the bat, a bunch of characters who are playing, such as Ty, Van, Shauna, Lottie, Allie. This is a very important game. Shauna, Jackie, and Ty shoot the winning goal. There's hugging, there's jumping, everyone's screaming buzz, buzz, buzz because they're the YELLOWJACKETS. Buzz, 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 buzz. Very exciting. We're going to nationals. But we cut from this excitement to Jackie and her boyfriend Jeff. They're doing couple activities, and Jeff is trying to make these couple activities fun, and it does not work, so she pretends that it is more fun than it actually is. She kind of like goes into the bathroom and just kind of like looks at herself in the mirror, and she has this like moment, this like introspective moment, you know, where you're like, okay, this is my life right now. Shauna is waiting outside of the car. She's journaling, she's thinking, and she like looks up. She clocks Jeff trying to escape out of Jackie's bedroom window, and she's immediately like, she watches as Jeff like jumps out off of the little like roof and he like runs away, like just scatters across the field. And she's like looking at him and she seems genuinely confused. That's this shot here. So Jackie comes out of her front door. Massive house, by the way. This girl is definitely rich, and she's walking, and her energy is a complete juxtaposition to what she was just feeling when she was like looking at herself in the mirror and feeling very like visibly sad, introspective. And now she's like upbeat, she's perky, she's ready to go. While Jackie is like deflecting from her emotions and acting outside of how she actually feels, Shauna's completely transparent this entire time. But Jackie is honestly just kind of talking in circles, deflecting, doesn't want to talk about it, which I mean, fair enough, it's your business. But Shauna keeps like kind of pushing. Jackie tries to deflect some more by talking about how she settled on a color scheme for their room at Rutgers, green and pink. Coral Springs meets Palm Beach kind of theme, like green and pink. And Shauna is still like, okay, but like, it's Jeff though. Like, like we talk about that. And then at some point, Jackie is essentially just like, yeah, I didn't want to go to college a virgin. And like, he and I have been together forever. And then Shauna's like, oh, is Jeff a virgin? And Jackie's like, yeah, of course. I mean, who else would he have slept with? We've been together forever. You don't think he was like with anyone else during like the 50 times you broke up? And Jackie's like, no. But essentially the scene ends with Jackie again deflecting, and she like rolls down her window and screams,
"Try undefeated, bitches! We're going to motherfucking nationals!" Woo!
Next up, we cut to Miss Natalie Scatorcio. She is drinking with her buddies, one of whom I believe is Kevin Tan. They did change his actor, so I had to like check. But they're drinking, they're talking, and some a-holes roll up in their car and they're making gross comments to Natalie, and Natalie's like shutting it down. One of the other kids kind of sticks up for her and steps in. And then it essentially ends with her like throwing whatever she was drinking, throws it at this kid's car, and then the three of them just bolt. They run, of course. Now we cut to the YELLOWJACKETS getting ready for the pep rally. They are in the locker room. They're dancing, they're singing. And Jackie helps Allie with her makeup, and Allie's a freshman. She's pretty sad because I think like her going to nationals interrupts her ability to go to homecoming. Coach Martinez wants to talk to Jackie, so he pulls her aside into his office and he's talking to Jackie, and he's essentially just like, hey, why do you think I made you captain? You know, there are other options, right? I mean, Shauna's faster, Lottie's got better footwork by a mile, and Thaisa, but Jackie interrupts and she's like, okay, is this supposed to be like a pep talk?
This a pep talk?
Jackie, you possess something no one else on this team has: influence.
And I think that this scene is really important in establishing the character dynamics between all the characters, especially the characters who take up leadership positions in the wilderness, because here we have Coach Martinez talking to Jackie about the different ways that other Yellow Jackets would make better leaders, but he tells her that you were chosen because you have influence. Now it is time for the pep rally. Everyone is super hyped. We're all screaming, buzz, buzz, buzz. And everyone's very excited to celebrate the Yellow Jackets being sent off to nationals. They all look very excited. Misty, the equipment manager, is in the corner just fully like, buzz, buzz, buzz. And honestly, I love her for it. There's also a lot of like homoerotic stares happening between Shauna and Jackie. Thought I'd point that out. Now, essentially what happens next is the girls are outside of pep rally. They're like in their normal clothes, kind of. They're outside of school. They're trying to figure out what to do about the Allie situation, because apparently Allie choked and Thaisa is worried that she's going to do it again at nationals and they're going to lose because of her. So she's like, okay guys, what should we do about this? And the girls are all pretty conflicted about it. It seems like some of them are like, okay, but like what is there to do? She's a freshman. And she's essentially trying to convince the girls, hey, maybe let's be a little bit harder on Allie. Maybe let's not pass her the ball. They're just like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good idea. But Ty is pretty dead set on doing something to fix the Allie situation, because she's genuinely concerned that Allie is going to be the reason they lose at nationals. Shauna is essentially just like, I don't think Jackie's going to like this. Ty, Nat, Lottie, and Shauna are all pretty torn on what they should do. And the kind of general consensus is like, let's not do anything. Let's just leave her be. So the girls go to a scrimmage. Sweet Laura Lee suggests that they pray before the scrimmage, and Coach Scott, who is filling in for Coach Martinez, is like, okay, sure. And then they start playing. The music is intensifying a lot, and Ty is like purposely like putting a lot of pressure on Allie, and Shauna's like, Ty, stop it. And you can see Jackie's kind of confused, like, okay, don't know what's going on there, but all right. And essentially what happens is she breaks her leg. It's pretty awful. Allie is screaming. Coach Scott is like yelling at Misty to go get the phone. Morale is not great right now because Allie is hospitalized and she is not okay. Her leg was pretty badly messed up, and Ty is feeling very guilty, and a lot of the girls are feeling a lot of resentment towards Ty because they believe that she did this on purpose, and even if she didn't do it on purpose, they believe that she's at fault. And Jackie tries her best to boost morale, but it kind of falls flat with like everything that's going on. Later on in the night, Jackie and Shauna are getting ready at Shauna's house, and they're getting ready for the party tonight, which is to celebrate nationals. But Shauna's feeling kind of iffy about it. She's like, should we even be going to the party with like how Allie's doing? And Jackie's essentially like, no, I think it'll be good for morale. Like, us deciding not to go to that party is not gonna magically fix her leg, you know? And I think Shauna sees her point with that. There's some weird contention going on between the two of them though. Shauna keeps like asking for Jackie's opinion on her outfit choices, and Jackie's like providing it, but Shauna's getting increasingly annoyed at her responses. And she kind of snaps at her when Jackie tells her that Randy was asking about her. Randy is Jeff's best friend. And she's like, hey, Randy was asking about you. And Shauna just snaps and she's like, I don't want to go out with Randy fucking Walsh. And Jackie, instead of snapping back or instead of getting upset, she just like takes a second and she's like, okay, that was weird, and changes the subject. And she's like, you're probably right about Randy. Shauna ends up wearing the red dress that Jackie suggested that she wear. So we cut to the party. Natalie's at the party and she's kind of in a mood. Here is Miss Natalie with her little red solo cup. And we also see that Shauna, Jeff, and Jackie are all hanging out at the party. There's also a scene where this kid, who I in my script referred to as Dollar Tree Kit Connor, is like asking her out or like making crude comments at her, and Shauna's just like, whatever. And she also watches as Jackie and Jeff are like having a moment, and she seems like upset. Like, you can see it written all over her face. She's visibly upset about this. Shauna goes up to go get some more beer, and she runs into Ty. Shauna's also very obviously already drunk.
Can't be easy knowing you fucking crippled someone today.
Cool. Good talk.
Just admit you did it on purpose. Excuse me?
Shauna pushes her to admit that she did this to Allie on purpose. And I think that that makes Ty go like, you were not gonna make me feel like I did this on purpose. Like I didn't mean to hurt her. It was an accident. Van and Lottie both pull up and they're like, okay, what is going on? Let's stop. Like, can we stop fighting, guys? This is ridiculous. The girls are kind of gathering at this point as this is happening. And both Laura Lee and Van are like aware that they're definitely missing context. They were not there for the conversation about what to do about Allie. So they're both in the dark and they're both very visibly confused, trying to figure out, okay, why is Shauna attacking Ty? Why is Ty talking about some plan? Like, it just, there's very clear miscommunication happening, and I think it's stressing everybody out and everybody's just confused. Ty gets defensive and insults Natalie at one point, and Shauna defends her, but then Natalie's like, I don't need you to defend me. And Laura Lee is like, okay, guys, seriously, what is going on? And then they're all like, shut up, Laura Lee. But Van immediately steps in and she's like, hey, no, don't yell at her.
Somebody needs to take her wasted ass home. Say that again, Say that again.
And Van is like holding them apart. Jackie from across the field kind of clocks the fight and she's like, oh my God, what is happening? It's causing a commotion. Everybody's staring. I think the party has officially like hit a pause button and everyone's just like, okay, what is going on with the Yellow Jackets? Why is everyone fighting? And so Jackie rushes over and she's like, enough. And she basically like brings them all to the side and she's talking to all of them and she's like, I don't know what that was, but it needs to stop now. This is ridiculous. We're going to nationals. Can we focus up? We're not acting like a team right now. Jackie basically demands that they all line up and say one nice true thing about each girl on the team. And Jackie steps up and starts to compliment each of the girls. And she has very personal, real, genuine compliments for these girls. And I think that it gets through to them. The girls all pair off and they're all like giving each other the compliments, talking. You know, they're essentially apologizing to each other. And Shauna approaches Jackie and she's like, you haven't said anything nice about me yet. And Jackie gives a really genuine speech that just speaks to true friendship and how much Jackie cares about her. Now that Jackie and Shauna have made up, Jackie's like, all right, guys, let's go home. And then after that, we cut to Natalie getting very high and she like hallucinates Misty like off in the distance. It's really weird while this like song is playing. And I'm gonna be honest, it's one of my favorite stims. Like sometimes I'll just be like sitting in my room and I just start going, little fish, big fish, like over and over again. So shout out to that song. YELLOWJACKETS has like a phenomenal soundtrack. Jeff is driving both Jackie and Shauna home and Jackie's like, hey, can you drop me off first? I have a curfew. Shauna points out that she also has a curfew, but Jackie's like, yeah, but you know how my parents are. So they drop off Jackie first, and then as Jeff and Shauna are driving back to Shauna's house, she tells Jeff, she's like, Jeff, pull over. And he's like, why, are you gonna be sick? Like, he's like, dude, do not throw up in my car. So they pull over and they hook up. So you're both cheating on Jackie now. And while they're sleeping together in the car, it is established that this is not the first time, but the second time. So that explains a lot, first of all. That explains everything that previously happened. And we're just like, Shauna, what are we doing, babe? Why are we hooking up with our best friend's boyfriend? Like, what is going on? That lore drop was insane. The next morning, everyone's packing for nationals, getting ready. Jackie is packing, and we cut to the other girls like either getting ready for nationals or like what they're doing the morning of nationals. Natalie is smoking outside of her trailer. Van is trying to wake up her drunk mom. Laura Lee is praying at her bedside. Lottie is taking her medication for the morning. She takes 25 milligrams of loxapine, 1 pill per dosage twice a day. It's an antipsychotic. Misty looks like she's full on disassociating as she's just like staring at this rat in her pool. It's really weird. I'm gonna be honest. This is a weird scene. She's like disassociating and watching this rat swim around in her pool. Ty is having a nice morning. She ate her breakfast and is saying goodbye to her parents. The Martinez family is sharing like this tense goodbye. The Martinez family consists of Travis, Javi, Coach Martinez, and Coach Martinez's wife. Coach Martinez is the one who talked to Jackie, and Travis and Javi are presumably being forced to go on this trip because of some marital problems happening between their parents. Shauna receives an early admissions letter to Brown, so congratulations, Shauna, got into a nice school. But this also kind of contradicts an idea that we had previously, because Jackie was talking about their room at Rutgers. So getting this early admissions letter to Brown is interesting because you're like, oh, are we not going to college with Jackie? Interesting. The girls board the plane, and it is established this is a private plane that Lottie's father, Mr. Matthews, paid for. Everyone's excited. Shauna is nervous to fly, so Jackie, remembering a memory from the last time that they flew together, gives her some medication to calm her down. Before takeoff, Jackie gives Shauna the heart necklace. Immediately after we exchange the heart necklace, we're cutting into like the plane crash. Episode 2 opens up with shots of the plane crash. There's chaos, kids are screaming, and interestingly enough, we actually cut to a scene of Misty being prank called in 1992. Misty is sitting on her bed. She gets a call from these mean girls who are messing with her. They're asking about some rumor about her doing something with some kid, and she's just like, no, that never happened. And she quotes Plato, but it really ended up being kind of embarrassing because the girls did not think it was cool. I thought it was cool, Misty.
Opinion is the wilderness between knowledge and ignorance. That's Plato.
Oh my gosh, you're such a fucking weirdo.
I thought that was cool. I thought it was an awesome comeback. I'm so sorry that they wronged you. Back to the crash. The girls are reasonably panicked. There's chaos throughout the plane. Everyone is screaming, grabbing onto each other, and the plane is just going down. Like, it is pure and utter chaos. And the plane crashes. There are people running around, and Jackie wakes up Shauna and desperately fights to get Shauna off the plane. Shauna tries to save Van, who is like trapped and she's like burning in the back of the plane. Jackie intervenes though and is determined to get her off the plane. They get off the plane. Ty is searching for Van. She's very panicked. Misty is searching for Coach Scott. She's yelling, Coach Scott! Coach is found with his leg trapped under like a wing from the plane, and the girls all collectively lift it to try to help him, but his leg is very far gone. Coach Scott instantly like passes out. So now we cut to Miss Misty, and she gets an axe and just chops off his leg. And we get that iconic shot of her like covered in blood. I have this really funny picture of Sammy Hanratty behind the scenes covered in the fake blood. Now Misty is saving everyone's butts, and she ties Coach's leg up. Misty is taking care of anyone who has like an injury or needs help, tying tourniquets, adding bandages. Misty disinfects Ben's leg, and she essentially wants to tell Coach Scott what happened, like that she had to cut it off, and Ty intervenes and she's like, you're doing great, Coach. You got pretty banged up, but Misty's doing a great job. And then she pulls Misty aside and she's like, girl, do not tell him you cut his leg off. Javi is actively looking for his father, Coach Martinez, and he's missing. Ty is trying to intervene and protect Javi because they don't know if he's alive yet. Natalie finds Travis and is basically just like, hey, listen, your brother's looking for your dad. You should probably go like help him out, support him, like he's scared. But Travis is fully checked out. It's clear that after the crash, he just completely shuts down and he just doesn't want to engage. Jackie, seeking some validation from Shauna, tells her that she's worried that Van is gonna hate her now because she's feeling very guilty internally because she feels like she abandoned someone and possibly got them killed as a result of that. When her intention was just to protect her best friend. Lottie and Laura Lee are both searching for their bags in kind of a panic. Laura Lee finds her suitcase and she finds her precious teddy bear, Leonard. She's so relieved. She hugs it. She's so overjoyed, so happy. She looks at Leonard and a droplet of blood lands on him. And she looks up and just starts screaming her head off. And the girls rush over to see if she's okay. They pull her away from the tree, and hanging up in the tree is Coach Martinez. Shauna immediately holds Javi back. She's not gonna let him go over there because Javi's initial instinct is to run up there and try to get his father, but Shauna's protecting him, trying to tell him like not to look, and nobody is fast enough to clock Travis like bolting up that tree. So he climbs up the tree and he approaches the branch that his father's on, but the branch snaps and collapses, and the girls try to rush around to maybe like create some sort of net to catch someone in if Travis or Coach Martinez fall, but unfortunately none of that would have worked anyway because he was already gone at that point. The girls carry all the bodies to a burial spot. Natalie offers Travis some of her contraband to alleviate whatever it is that he's feeling. Later that night, Natalie actually gets a fire started. Lottie locates her meds, but she's very low. Shauna assures the girls that the rescue plane should be here any minute now, probably by morning. And Jackie says that even though rescue is on its way, they should probably still conserve their resources. And there's a little bit of a moment between her and Van where Van is like, you want to save the corn nuts. But she's pretty upset at Jackie for leaving her in that plane. Mari, one of the other Yellow Jackets, makes a comment to Ty about how she did Allie a real favor by messing up her leg. The girls all settle by the fire. Ty at one point notices that Laura Lee is a little upset, and she asks if she's all right. And Laura Lee proceeds to tell everybody the story about how she very recently did something that she believes is why the plane crashed. She believes that God is punishing her by crashing this plane because she was at her piano lesson and her teacher just kept saying F sharp, F sharp, F sharp. And she was getting frustrated. And so in her head, in her mind, she thought to herself,
So I called her a bad word just in my head, but God heard me. Now we're all being punished.
What did you call her?
Naturally, all the girls find this quite funny, like the concept that Laura Lee thinking a bad word is why their plane crashed, and so the girls all burst into laughter. And this leads to a lot of very goofy confessions, like the fact that Lottie, who is rich by the way, randomly steals clothes from TJ Maxx and then returns them, and she has like thousands of dollars in TJ bucks. Jackie sneaks downstairs at night to watch Color of the Night so she can pause on Bruce Willis's Wang. And while the girls are confessing and giggling and laughing, Misty kind of sneaks off to go do something. She's got the axe in hand and she's been like, you know, putting it against the fire, like making it hotter. And she sneaks off, but no one really notices. And Jackie kind of turns to Shauna and she's like, what about you, Shipman? You got any secrets big enough to crash a goddamn plane? She has been screwing your boyfriend. And she knows this. So there's a weird silence, an awkward silence where Shauna is being weirdly quiet and she's thinking about it and contemplating. And Jackie is like, oh, is there a secret? She's cut off by Ben screaming because Misty has chopped his leg again. And of course we get a classic, what the fuck, Misty? A bit later, the girls are asleep and Misty gets up to pee. And she overhears some of the girls talking about how Misty is like saving them. Thank goodness we have Misty out here, and she's feeling very important. And she comes across the plane's transponder. And in this moment, she decides that this is the first time where she's felt needed. She's felt wanted. She's felt like necessary. So she destroys the transponder. This episode ends on a shot of her with that rock. She slammed the crap out of it. Like, there's no coming back from that. That thing is broken. Episode 3, it's the next morning, and the girls are burying Rachel, Fred, Jeff, Bill, and Janet, the people who passed when the plane crashed. Laura Lee tells everyone to join hands, and she gives a speech and a proper send-off. The speech reminds Ty of a childhood memory of her Nana, which causes her to kind of go off. That triggers some upsetting childhood memories in Ty. A little while later, the girls are rationing the food, taking extreme care to make sure that they know what's going on, and Van essentially calls out Travis for carelessly taking a bunch of food, but Natalie kind of sticks up for him. I think it's Mari says something like, who died and made him king of snacks? And Natalie's like, his dad. His fucking dad. Morale is definitely plummeting. It's been presumably 3 days since the initial crash and the girls are feeling pretty hopeless. Optimism is really half and half here. Travis tries to bring Javi some food and he's really pissed off when he finds out that Javi is still chewing on some gum that his father gave him before the plane took off, and he just gets really frustrated with him about it and tells him to like spit it out. He says some pretty awful things about their dad, implying that he wasn't a good guy. Misty is being really overbearing in her role as the YELLOWJACKETS nurse, and she's kind of pushing it a little bit, and Lottie takes her meds, but it's clear that she's running low, which would be really bad because going off of antipsychotics, especially when you've been on them for quite a while and you're on such a high dose, could be very, very damaging and detrimental. Ty is excited because she found a lake, but this causes a divide on whether or not they should stay here and wait for rescue or go to the lake. And this leads to all the YELLOWJACKETS essentially like voting, trying to decide whether or not they should leave. And Jackie believes that they should stay here, but Shauna actually thinks that they should go to the lake, which leads to Jackie feeling kind of abandoned by Shauna in that moment because she's felt like she kind of chose Ty over her. The girls kind of settle on, we're going to the lake, we're gonna bring our stuff with us. And they decide to write SOS Gone to Lake across the plane in lipstick. SOS Gone to Lake. So they go on this long hike, and halfway through they're kind of losing morale again. Everyone's like, how far away is this? Did you actually see a lake? And they also come across this like large bear. It seems to have been attacked at some point. This is Ty's reaction to seeing that. Everyone's kind of disturbed by this, but Ty especially is experiencing a lot of triggering memories, remembering her Nana and her childhood, and it's a little unclear why these things keep reminding her of that time period, but it's clearly triggering for her. Ty also kind of says to Shauna like, hey, thanks for having my back, but Shauna's like, nope, that was not me having your back, that was me having my own opinion. I think she's pretty annoyed that all of her choices have to be tied to Jackie or to Ty or to somebody. The girls are visibly disturbed by this bear that they found, and Coach Ben tells them that wolves can kill anything if the pack's big enough, which definitely instills some fear in the group, and everyone's just like, what? Because like, girl, if I was in the wilderness, like, and someone said to me like, oh yeah, wolves, they can kill anything if the pack's big enough, and I'm looking at a bear, a dead bear, anxiety attack on the spot. Everyone is pretty hopeless and depressed, but then Van, she spots the lake and she's like, yes! and they all run for the lake, and they're like dropping everything. It's so fun. Like they're so excited. They're dropping their bags and their shirts and stuff, and they just run straight for the lake, and they're swimming and having a good time. It's actually really sweet. And there's some staring going on between Ty and Van, which is interesting. And interestingly enough, Jackie and Shauna are also sharing some weird looks. And at one point, Jackie starts like talking to Mari to like make Shauna jealous. It's very interesting. And there's also a little moment where like Nat and Travis are looking at each other. So we got some ships going on here. Jackie complains about how freezing the water is, and Mari's like, wait, pause, is Travis hot? So they've been here all of 4 minutes, and Mari's already like, guys, wait a second, is Travis hot? Shout out to their actors. Travis and Mari's actors are dating in real life. When I found that out, I was floored. Misty brings Ben some water, and my dude is so over her overbearing like obsession with taking care of him. He's like, please leave me alone. And Misty is like, here, let me pour some water on you. He's not liking it at all. He is so over it. He's like, Misty, give me some fucking space, please. As I said before, everyone's just kind of exchanging looks, which is interesting. And they're all hanging out in the lake, all, you know, having fun. And Lottie kind of like notices something. She like sees something in the distance. And so they all decide to go investigate and see what it is. And they find the cabin. Here is Lottie finding the cabin. They check for inhabitants, but no one lives here. Obviously, it's the middle of nowhere. And Jackie is getting pretty like frustrated at like the smell and the musty quality of the air. And she finds food in the pantry. And when she opens it, there's like this gross stuff in it, probably mold and like this, like there's stuff like living in that can. It's awful. And Jackie, overstimulated and frustrated, just kind of leaves the cabin. Van finds a stack of like magazines. And the girls are all looking at them and they think they're really funny. And Travis takes one and goes off. Javi follows him, but Travis is being really dismissive and mean. And he essentially takes the gum that their father gave Javi before the plane and throws it out into the woods, so it's gone. We see a shot of Natalie physically, like she's very shaken by what just happened. She's obviously affected by this because of the way that Travis is treating Javi, and she doesn't think it's right. Shauna finds Jackie and offers her some blankets. She can tell that she's not coping with this well, and she obviously wants to be there for her friend. Shauna admits that she's scared and that she needs her best friend because Jackie's kind of shutting down. And this admission and this vulnerability makes Jackie switch up, and they hug. Jackie tells her that it's gonna be okay, that they're gonna be okay. Following this very comforting moment, some flies wake up Ben, and he just has a full mental meltdown. Like he's screaming and crying, and he falls over, and Misty essentially holds him, and he like pushes her back, but she holds him again, and he just like sobs and asks like why he's still alive. It's really devastating, and all the girls are just watching while this happens. Ty thinks about her very sick Nana and about how she used to see this man with no eyes, and it would cause her to freak out similarly to Ben. She remembers what it was like to see her Nana like that, and then to start seeing the man with no eyes herself. Later on that night, everyone's in the cabin, and Lottie has kind of gone off on her own outside. Ty finds her, and Lottie's just like, I have a bad feeling about this cabin. Like obviously Ty has no idea that one, Lottie is schizophrenic, and two, that she's like running out of her medication. So to her, she's just like, stop it, Lottie. There's nothing going on, nothing scary. But Lottie has a bad feeling about the cabin. The next morning, Misty is trying to help Ben go to the bathroom, and she's like singing. It's very uncomfortable. This poor man is just like, please leave me alone. Travis is messing with a shotgun he found, because of course he is. And Ben tells him to hand it over. He's like, stop messing with that. But he does tell them that someone probably needs to learn how to use it so that they can hunt. This scares Natalie, and she seems visibly shaken at the idea of having to use that gun. We get a little flashback, presumably between 1994 and 1996. She sneaks her best friend Kevin into her trailer, and they're like listening to music, and her father comes home and catches them. And even though they weren't doing anything, he doesn't believe her and essentially is screaming at her, and Kevin escapes. We continue the flashback later on, but for now, we're back with the girls as they are trying to figure out who can use the gun. Natalie tries, and she kind of fumbles the first time, but Travis is being an absolute asshole, and so Ben is like, yes, actually, go again. And the second time, she kills it. Shauna, she didn't even want to try out, and she's just journaling to herself, and Javi actually finds her. Sweet Javi. He finds her, and he's essentially just like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm actually journaling. And she explains that it helps her get her thoughts out and it's helped her cope with the craziness of everything that's been happening, is she actually offers him a pencil and some paper so that he can try journaling too. And with Travis currently shutting down, Javi having someone like Shauna to kind of look up to and turn towards is actually really valuable. Natalie does such a good job and all the girls are very happy for her. And so it's officially decided that Travis and Natalie will be their hunters and that they will help them get food. Coach Ben gives them a talk about trust and about how they need to trust each other and work together because he knows that Travis has been a little crap bag about it. Travis is being very dismissive and not really talking to Natalie, and Natalie's like, come on, man, we need to like be serious about this. Like, please just let go of whatever you're feeling right now. Like, let's focus. And they're just not really clicking. The girls are searching for some edible plants, and Van makes fun of Misty's very obvious crush on Coach Ben. The girls find a plane, and Laura-Lise decides to get into the front to try to see if it still works, and she turns it on, and Van is standing right in front of the propeller, and she's about to get hit, but Jackie pushes her out of the way, saving her, and Jackie just stands there and luckily is unharmed. When the plane also moves a bit forward because of the propellers, there are some branches that are on the wheels and it kind of stops it from continuing. And Lottie says it didn't want him to leave. And this makes Thaisa mad because this plants in the girls' heads that something else is going on, and Thaisa wants none of that. Travis is like a man on a mission, and Natalie's like, dude, can you please talk to me? Like, where are you going? He's opening up to Natalie and he starts digging where his father is buried. Natalie freaks out. She's like, what are you doing? He needs his father's wedding ring. He needs to take it back. And she realizes that he means that he needs to take it back to Hobby so that he has something of his dad's. And so she helps him unbury him, and he tries to get the ring off, but he throws up, and so Natalie takes it upon herself to cut his finger so that she can get the ring off of him and give it to Travis. Natalie remembers the day her own father died in little glimpses, but she shakes off the memory and shares what I think is weed with Travis. On their way back, they find a deer, and she prepares to shoot the deer, but she remembers some stuff about her father, about holding a gun up to her own father. Travis helps her focus, and she's able to take down the deer. And we cut back and forth between her trying to get this deer and her holding up a gun to her own father. We see that he shot himself on accident because they were having a huge fight. And he turns around and comes up the stairs, and as he does that, he trips and he shoots himself in the face. Natalie watched all of that happen right in front of her after holding up a gun to him. They bring the deer back to the cabin. Everyone is thrilled. Javi's journaling, by the way, which I think is so sweet. I hope it helped him. Shauna volunteers to be the one to bleed out the deer. So some roles are being solidified here, with Shauna being the butcher, Travis and Natalie being the hunters, Misty being the nurse. They cut to everyone very aggressively eating the deer. It's very pit girl core. We end off episode 4 of the teen timeline with Misty tripping Ben and then patronizing him and being like, oh, watch where you're going. Misty's just doing the absolute most. When is she not, though? Episode 5, the girls are all dancing to This Is How We Do It. It's actually really sweet. The music stops, though, and they all hear this weird creaking sound. Lottie gets all, oh, you guys hear it too? Because she's clearly been hearing things, but now they're hearing it too, so she's like, oh, you guys hear this? Mari jokes about it being cabin guy, like, from beyond the grave. Shauna and Ty are both like, girl, can you not? Like, Lottie shushes everybody, and her energy is creeping the girls out. Ben just cuts in to say, you guys need sleep, like, let's go to bed. Early next morning, there's a very uncomfortable scene with Misty and Coach Ben. I did write it in the script, but I'm not gonna describe it. Natalie wakes up Jackie because everyone else is contributing and helping and doing something, but Jackie's the only one not being helpful. Jackie complains about cramping, and she's like, girl, we're all cramping, like our period's synced up. And I love that, by the way, because there are so many shows where I'm like, okay, but like, do you guys not have periods or something? So I like that the show actively addressed the fact that they all have periods and that they would all sync up. So Jackie decides to get a bucket to go get some water, and she sees Lottie standing in the lake, like eerily still, just staring off in the distance, and she's like, okay. Shauna tells Jackie that her period is late. So, uh-oh. And Jackie makes a joke about how, oh, thank goodness you're a virgin, or else we'd really be in trouble. In a panic, obviously, Shauna then fakes her period, but Ty catches her lying ass as she fakes it. Shauna makes a point to tell Jackie, like, oh, hey, I started my period. And Ty is just like, girl, no, you did not. Shauna sees that the girls are very annoyed at Jackie for not contributing, for not helping. So she kind of like walks up to Jackie and takes her headphones off, and she's like, dude, like, you need to contribute. Everyone's getting upset, and like, come on, like, you gotta do something. Shauna gives Jackie a pep talk, and Jackie teases her because pep talks aren't really her thing. And she also tells her that she's becoming kind of a badass out here, which is pretty cool. Shauna tells Jackie that her hot, dumb self inspires people, and she gives her the heart necklace back. So there goes another exchange of the heart necklace. Travis and Nat are hunting, and they've made a little game of it, and they're being really flirty. It's honestly really cute. And what's interesting is that we cut from Jackie and Shauna to Travis and Nat, And then we cut to Ty and Van making out. Ty and Van are making out, so they're together, apparently. And they're like, finally, because they've been dying to do this, of course. And then they hear Mari screaming, and they're like, damn it. So they got interrupted. Mari swears that something crawled up her shirt, but they can't find anything. I think she was just like having a moment. And obviously Lottie's kind of getting in people's heads about like some eerie things happening, and so Jackie suggests that they do a seance. Laura Lee openly voices that she wants nothing to do with it, wants nothing to do with the seance. Misty gives Ben some tea. Shauna and Jackie both set up candles in the attic on these little spots that are on the floor. Oh, they found a dead, they found like a corpse in the attic, by the way. I don't think I said that. They did. They got rid of it though, it's fine. Just completely forgot that like very relevant information. Like, oh yeah, they found a corpse up there, but it's gone. It's fine. It's fine. Nat and Travis are still hunting, and they get sidetracked and start making out. Later that night, it's seance time, and Jackie is painting little X's on everyone's foreheads. Shauna is blindfolded, and she's asking the spirits questions about the wilderness. Van asks some silly pop culture questions, I think. Akilah asks if they would have won nationals. We cut to Ty and Laura Lee, who are downstairs completely unimpressed. Both of them not a fan of this. Laura Lee is reading a flight manual, and Ben looks very, very sick. He looks like he's about to hurl. Javi goes upstairs because the FOMO is way too strong and he needs to know what's going on up there because there's so much giggling and laughing. Ty decides to go too because she's curious as to what's so funny, like what's going on up there. Misty asks if her crush likes her back, and the answer is yes. So Javi asks if they're all gonna die out here, and the mood is immediately killed. And then Lottie screams, and because like the window opens, so she like screams. The girls frantically are trying to like calm her down because she's like still screaming, like she's full on bloody murder screaming. She keeps muttering, "It wants," and "hungry." Then she looks at Shauna and says, "It's in you already," which freaks Shauna out, obviously. Then she starts speaking French, and all the girls are like, what the heck? Lottie sucks at French. Everyone turns to Jackie and they're like, dude, what is she saying? And Jackie's like, I don't know, I suck at French.
Suck at French too! Well, damn it, Jackie, try not to! It wants something. Blood? I think she's saying blood.
And then Lottie gets up and slams her head against the window, like slams it, breaking the window and cutting her forehead open. So poor Lottie. Laura Lee begs Coach Ben to do something. He just starts throwing up because Missy poisoned him. Lottie's still screaming, so Laura Lee gets her Bible and rushes upstairs. She screams and throws the book at Lottie. Lottie's just like, what the hell, Laura Lee? Later, Laura Lee is wiping the wax off the floor and she's sobbing pretty heavily. She was affected by everything that happened that night. Coach Scott confronts Misty because he knows that she poisoned him. He's well aware, and he's like, okay, what the fuck, Misty? What were you thinking? And she like breaks down and is like, I'm so sorry, like I have a crush on you. I did like blah, blah. And so to, you know, self-preservation, Ben lies and says, girl, same. I got a crush on you too. I feel you. So now Misty's living in the delusion where she thinks that Coach Ben has a crush on her too. So that's interesting. I understand his perspective though. He's thinking, you know, self-preservation. If she thinks I like her, maybe I won't get poisoned again. And you know what? He's right. Ty is very over all the ghost talk. The girls are all very superstitious. So she decides to take her butt upstairs so that she can go sleep upstairs by herself because she's sick and tired of everyone going on about this ghost stuff. And she's like, you know what guys, fine. I'm gonna go upstairs to prove to you guys that you're all being silly. There is no ghost. Nothing's going on. We can all let it go. And Shauna doesn't want her to be by herself, so she also decides to go upstairs, which leaves Jackie feeling pretty abandoned and a little bit sad. And Ty is like, hey girl, how far along are you? And she's like, what? And Ty's like, you're pregnant, right? And she's like, oh, okay, clocked. Ty knows Miss Shauna Shipman is pregnant.
We're pregnant, right?
You won't tell anyone, will you?
So that's a very sweet way to end episode 6 with Ty promising that she's not going to tell anybody. Next episode opens with Lottie at maybe 6 or 7 years old. She's in the car and she screams, saving her parents from a car crash. Her mom thinks that she saw something, but her dad just thinks that she's sick. Teen Lottie is searching for berries, and it's clear that withdrawal from the antipsychotics is already hitting her pretty hard. Mari teases her, but she immediately bites back about Mari's ex leaving her for her own cousin. Queen behavior. Lottie sees a deer with its antlers covered in like blood and guts and stuff, but evidently there is no such deer and she is hallucinating. Ty and Van are skinny dipping, and Ty is talking about how maybe perchance they should go and try to look for civilization because they can't be that far from civilization. She's determined to go out and try to find people, and Van is very hesitant about it, but it seems like Ty is pretty passionate about trying to find help. And then we cut to her going back and sneaking back upstairs, and Shauna wakes up and sees her. Shauna has a weird chicken baby dream. I don't really want to describe it. And Ty, when talking about that dream kind of implies that Shauna's been opening up to her for the past few days now about her dreams and about her fears. Shauna confesses to her that the baby is Jeff's. Jackie tells Shauna that Jackie was talking to Jeff before nationals, and apparently Jeff said, "I love you." And Shauna's just sitting here like, oh, because Shauna is sitting here pregnant with Jeff's baby while Jackie's talking about how Jeff loves Jackie, and she's just like, oh, this is uncomfortable. Jackie just kind of rambles on about this, but then she stops when she sees that Shauna is visibly not looking like she's feeling well, and she offers her the last bit of food that she has. We cut to Travis and Nat making out on the plane, and then they walk back holding hands. They're actually so sweet together, guys. I love Trav Nat. So they walk back from hunting and they're holding hands, and they stop holding hands, but everyone clocks them immediately. And then Jackie comes out and she's like, is this why we don't have any food? Because you guys are going to Pound Town every time you go hunting? But Natalie's like, Jackie, I can't conjure a deer, okay? Not my fault. Misty also goes up to Natalie and is like, I understand you, Natalie. I have a secret boyfriend too, referencing Coach Ben. Like, I'm sorry, Misty. I fear this is not the same thing. Travis goes back into the cabin to get some more bullets, and Coach Ben sits him down and has a little uncomfortable chit chat with him and essentially gives him like a crap ton of condoms and is just like, hey, listen, I can't tell you what to do. Just be safe, please. Just be safe. The last thing we need is a pregnancy out here. So, yeah, little depressing foreshadowing to the fact that one of them is actually pregnant. Lottie wakes up in the middle of the night and finds Ty eating dirt outside of the cabin, which, first of all, weird. Second of all, did she actually see this? Was it a hallucination, or was Ty actually eating dirt? The next morning, Ty wakes up and sees that Shauna's underwire of her bra is missing, and she panics and goes out to try to find Shauna because she figures out that Shauna is very likely trying to remove it. And while she's trying to go out to find Shauna, Lottie stops her and she's like, hey, were you eating dirt last night? And what? No, I don't have time for this. And she like rushes off. But Lottie's really confused because she very clearly saw you eating dirt last night, Thaisa. So what were you doing? Lottie ends up speaking to Laura Lee about visions, about prophets, because she really needs something to kind of tie herself down to because she's feeling very crazy, and she believes that that is what could be happening to Lottie. So we cut to a very beautiful scene where Laura Lee baptizes Lottie. And when Laura Lee baptizes Lottie, she has a vision where she goes into this dark corridor and she finds all of these weird candles around. It's very strange. And when she wakes up, she's like Laura Lee that she saw something, and Laura Lee is like, oh my god, you've been touched. Like, it's true, you're a prophet. Lottie now believes that she is seeing visions. A deer is brought back, and when Shauna cuts it open, she realizes that it's full of maggots. And Lottie believes that she like envisioned this happening. So she's like, I'm not crazy. And Laura Lee says, no, you have a gift. So it's kind of being established here that both Laura Lee and Lottie believe that Lottie is having visions and that the things that she sees are going to happen. So she believes that she's a prophet. Ty is pretty upset, and she announces that she is going tomorrow on a mission to find civilization, and anyone who wants to join her can. And she like cuts her hair, prepares for the mission, and Van is like, I'm coming with you. And she's like, no, you're not. But she's like, no, seriously, I need to do this for myself. It's not for you, it's for me. They've created their own little group, and then Akilah and Mari both volunteer to go, and Travis is going to go, but then Natalie begs him to stay, and he does. Misty shares a very emotional goodbye hug as she announces that she's also going to be going on this journey, and Ben's like, wow, that's very brave of you. Yeah, to be honest, I printed this out because I thought it was funny. Lottie gives Van a bone that she found inside of that rotting old deer, and she just tells her that she thinks it's going to keep her safe, and so Van puts it around her neck. Ty and Shauna also share a very heavy goodbye hug before Ty leaves, and Jackie clocks it, and she's like, little weird. Jackie approaches Shauna. She's like, girl, what is going on with you? This is weird. You're acting strange. You're buddying up with Ty. Like, what's going on, girl? And she tells her that she is pregnant with Randy Walsh's baby, like Jeff's best friend, Randy Walsh. Jackie's flabbergasted. She's like, first of all, you slept with somebody. Second of all, you slept with Randy Walsh. Third of all, you're pregnant with Randy Walsh's baby. She's processing all of that at once. When did this happen? Was like the first thing she thought of. And Shauna tells her it happened at Mari's birthday party. And Jackie has this moment where she's like, Mari's birthday party? That doesn't sound right, because no, that doesn't make sense chronologically. She's catching on to the fact that Shauna may be lying. Ty's group is walking, and Ty's a little bit annoyed that Van is wearing that necklace, but she also kind of gets it. That's them. Ty's group settles down, kind of makes camp for themselves, and they're gonna take turns sleeping. Van tells the girls the story of that Sandra Bullock movie, While You Were Sleeping.
Wakes up! It's a whole ass mess. I mean, this dude actually thinks that Sandy is his fiance, but she's not, so just
I actually watched it. It's pretty good. And they're freaked out because they can hear howling off in the distance, and they remember Coach's words about how wolves can kill anything if the pack is big enough. Javi tries to take the knife, Shauna's knife, and she catches him, but she ends up lending it to him. Then she hides her journal. We see a very specific shot where she hides her journal, so I'm wondering what that's foreshadowing. Lottie also told Van about this vision she had, and part of the vision was this red river, and they come across a red river while they're traveling. So Van's like,
Wait, let's think about this. Think about what? I don't know. This stream? It is a pretty big coincidence that Lottie dreamed about it, and now the compass is acting weird.
But Ty is explaining everything away, and she has an explanation for everything. They settle to sleep again, and Ty takes first watch. Shauna sees that her knife was returned alongside this little figurine. It's a little carved wolf that Javi made. And we also see that Shauna's journal is missing. We cut to Jackie sobbing as she reads Shauna's journal. So she knows now, but Shauna doesn't know that she knows. Ty wakes up to the sound of wolves and screaming. Like, the girls are screaming, but Ty is in a tree. Like, she fell asleep on the ground, but she woke up in a tree. So she's freaked out, but she jumps down and she rushes over and she's like, what's going on? They're like fighting off the wolves, and she's like, where's Van? And she finds Van being attacked by a wolf, and unfortunately Van is not okay. Ty screams and sobs over Van. It's actually very devastating to watch. The start of episode 8, Ty has started a fire, presumably to cremate Van, but Van is alive, and so they have to like shove her off of the fire thing, and they're like, crap, hi, sorry, you're not dead. And Van is like, fire? Really? We get a little flash backwards to pre-crash Laura Lee as she dives into a pool and hits her head, and then she's saved by CPR. In the wilderness, she asks the wilderness for a sign, and a bird appears. Then Lottie sits next to her, and they discuss whether the group is okay. Travis is playing with cards and ignoring Natalie, so she goes hunting by herself. Nat finds Coach Ben and they talk, and Nat clocks his ass and is like, you're gay, right? And Ben's like, what? What? No. Nat basically just asks if Travis could be gay, and Ben is like, no, he definitely cares about you. And he talks a little bit about Paul. This is Coach Ben and his boyfriend Paul. He talks about him a little bit with Natalie. Ty's group is desperately trying to get back to the cabin because they really need to save Van, because Van is not okay, and they've wrapped her face with stuff, but she's gonna need help if she's gonna live. Van really wants the girls to leave her. She believes that it's too late for her, but Ty refuses to leave her side. Ty tells Akilah, Mari, and Misty to run back to the cabin as fast as they can and get help, so they do. Ty and Van just kind of collapse to the ground holding each other. Jackie kind of asks how him and Nat are, and he admits that he thinks he fucked things up with Natalie because previously they tried to do some couple things and it didn't work out, and so he's feeling pretty down about himself. And through this conversation, he finds out that Natalie slept with Bobby Farley, a boy who was responsible for years of bullying. He's feeling pissed and betrayed, so he just storms off. Nat wants to talk to him, but he's hurt and he essentially dumps her. She sees Jackie and knows that this is her fault, and she's pretty mad at her. Misty, Akilah, and Mari make it back to the cabin, and the whole group goes looking for Ty and Van. Ty shoots up this red flare gun, which is presumably the red smoke that Lottie saw in her vision. They sew up Van's face in a very, very, very hard to watch scene. Ty opens up to Shauna how she believes that it's her fault and she's afraid to fall asleep, but Shauna assures her that she's safe with her, and she basically holds her and tells her that she's going to stay awake and that nothing's going to happen to Ty or Van. Laura Lee wakes everyone up to announce that she's going to fly the plane. There are protests, but she's set in her ways. Jackie decides to add fuel to the fire by announcing to everybody that Shauna is pregnant. Coach Ben protests that he can't let this happen, but Laura Lee's like, nope, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do this. This is my purpose. I need to do this for everybody.
We're all gonna fucking starve.
The girls all help Laura Lee secure a safe passage for her plane to go off.
Did you really have to tell everyone? I mean, how could I not? Shauna, we have the chance to get you and the baby out of here. That's all that matters. It's not really the time to be keeping secrets.
And they're all helping her prepare and saying their emotional goodbyes. Coach Ben again says that he cannot condone this, that he doesn't want her to go, but she's very determined. She wants to help everybody, and in some ways I think she believes that this is her purpose, that she was meant to do this. So Laura Lee gets on that plane and she starts flying it, and it goes, it works. Everyone gathers around the lake and they watch as she gets miles and miles away. They start cheering, and it's this big exciting moment because she might actually be able to go find help. But then Leonard, her precious bear, catches fire and the plane explodes. The girls watch it explode. It's a very devastating moment. Lottie runs into the lake right to the spot where Laura Lee baptized her. It's very, very sad. She collapses in the water and screams. Lottie feels very vulnerable in the wilderness, and she's aware that she doesn't feel like she's fully in control of her own mind, and being out here, being off of her meds, it's scary, and Laura Lee not only made her feel like she wasn't crazy, but she also made her feel seen and heard. Laura Lee gave her a sense of purpose. Laura Lee's death rocks the entire team. Everyone is devastated after this, and morale is very low, and everyone's feeling very depressed and quiet. The girls are collecting worms to cook, and Mari actually finds some berries, and it is suggested that they make booze. And then Jackie suggests, why don't we have a party in honor of her life? And they settle on having a doom coming and wearing the dresses that they packed for after they won nationals. So the girls get ready for doom coming. They put on makeup, they put on some cute dresses. Lottie is actually wearing Laura Lee's dress, which is one of my favorite details from doom coming. It's so sweet. Shauna realizes that her dress just barely fits her because she's already showing, which causes some anxiety, of course, because oh no, she really is pregnant. The girls also decorate. Misty also comes into the kitchen with a bunch of mushrooms and she places it on the table, and then Mari takes them and puts them in the soup, and Misty seems a little panicked, so it appears our girl is up to her poisoning shenanigans once again.
Let the doom coming begin.
Everyone goes to doom coming, which they're hosting in the woods, and it's absolutely beautiful. Something important to note is that Van is feeling very insecure ever since she was bitten by that wolf. She has a lot of scars on her face, and she's feeling very nervous to go to doom coming because she doesn't think she looks pretty, but Ty, to make her feel better, makes them both masks so they can go and both be comfortable in their own skin, and it's actually a beautiful moment between the two of them. And then in front of everybody, Ty kisses Van, and it's very beautiful because they're announcing their love to everyone. Here's them dancing. I love my Ty Van. They drink their makeshift booze and some of the soup that Mari made. Jackie starts dancing with Travis. A little bit before doom coming, she told Shauna that she's thinking of sleeping with Travis so that she's no longer a virgin because she's upset with Jeff, she's upset with Shauna, so she starts dancing with him. And Natalie, of course, gets uncomfortable and she goes up to Coach Ben and she's like, hey, I have real booze, do you want to get out of here? And he's like, hell yes. So Coach Ben and Natalie both go off on their own to go drink some real booze, while the girls continue to get drunk off of the stuff that Mari made. Everyone except for Jackie drinks a bunch of the soup, and they get increasingly high. It would appear that what Misty had in that bag was shrooms. Coach Scott and Natalie have a talk about love and about how important love is, and he essentially tells Natalie, go tell Travis you love him, like don't let this get ruined, like love is so important, Natalie. And Misty comes out of nowhere and is like, I know love is so important, and she tries to kiss him and he's like, no, Misty, I'm gay. And she's like, what? And he's like, I'm gay. And he starts yelling. And he's like, you hear that, Mom? You hear that, Dad? I'm gay. Travis and Jackie go back to the cabin. Jackie tries to kiss him and Travis is like, no, what about Natalie? And I'd like to point out that in this scene, Jackie is not aware that Travis is high, but Travis is high, not in a place where he can consent. So this scene is pretty uncomfortable because she essentially coerces him into sleeping with her. And again, Jackie is not aware that Travis is high, but he is not sober. I don't think enough people talk about that. I don't think enough people address the fact that Travis was violated this night, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. The girls realize that Travis is no longer around, and Lottie's like, we have to do something. And so the girls all go back to the cabin, and they're like howling. It's weird. They're very high, and they go into the cabin, and Travis and Jackie heard the howling, so they got up, they're dressed, they're downstairs. So Travis comes downstairs, and he's like really high now, like he's completely out of it, and all the girls start kissing him. It is so weird, and Lottie's talking about how he doesn't belong to you, he doesn't belong to her, and then she shoves Jackie into the closet and says, you don't matter anymore, and slams the door on her and locks it, and they keep touching Travis. It's so uncomfortable, so weird. Travis was violated on Doom Coming night, and people don't talk about it, but it happened, and I'm very upset. Travis runs away. He gets the hell out of there, and he runs out, and they follow him, they chase him, and they're howling. Natalie gets back to the cabin, finds Jackie, she lets Jackie out, and she goes out to find Travis, because where the hell did Travis go? While they're chasing Travis, Lottie calls him a stag, heavily implying that she literally thinks this is a hunt and they need to find him. And right before they followed him, she also told everyone, we won't be hungry much longer. They find Travis. It gets really bad. Shauna has a literal knife to Travis's throat, and Natalie finds them. Natalie shuts it down immediately, and Travis just kind of runs away, and things are left very unresolved. The next morning, everyone is very obviously hungover, and they're all recovering and drinking water, and they just kind of go about their day. They go on as if things are normal. They just go back to the cabin. Jackie's pretty angry at everyone, and Ben essentially tells the girls that they were definitely on shrooms. A bear goes right up to Lottie, lays down in front of her, and then she kills it, proving her weird little statement about how they won't be hungry much longer. So everyone is preparing the bear to eat it. Nobody's trusting Misty near that food. They're all like, Misty girl, you've poisoned us one too many times. Van thinks that there's some weird stuff going on, so she tries to talk to Ty about it. And Ty's being a little dismissive. She's trying to rationalize everything, and Van is just sick of it. They have a very like, oh, are they gonna break up kind of moment, but Ty essentially is just like, no, it's okay. It's not a problem. I understand. Even if I don't really get it, I'm here for you. I'm listening. That night, they're about to eat the bear, and Van suggests maybe they should say a prayer. Maybe they should say grace or say thanks, and Lottie tells them all to join hands. Jackie gets so mad and loses all of her patience with the girls. She's essentially just like, okay, what the heck, you guys? Why are we pretending that nothing happened last night? Like, I was there. Shauna kind of stands up. Jackie points out that Shauna hooked up with Jeff. Only Ty knew that, so everyone's like, oh. Shauna lashes out about what it's like to be in Jackie's shadow.
You're so obsessed with yourself. I'm surprised you're aware other people even exist. You tell me what to wear, what to do, who to hook up with. I don't even like soccer. And the rest of us, we're just extras in the movie of your fucking life.
Projecting onto her and blaming her for feeling this way. Jackie is having a hard time even saying anything mean directly to Shauna and ends up quoting Beaches, which leads to her being made fun of by Shauna.
I'm sure everyone back home is so fucking sad to be losing their perfect little princess, but they'll never know how tragic and boring and insecure you really are. Or how high school was the best your life was ever gonna get.
Fuck you.
And then Jackie's like, you know what? Get out. I don't even want to look at you right now. But Shauna stands her ground and no one defends Jackie. No one sticks up for Jackie. And so Jackie grabs a pillow, a blanket, and storms out to go sleep outside. I readjusted some of the photos in this corner and added a photo of Laura Lee because I want to honor who Doomcoming was for. Jackie is now outside sleeping by herself, and it starts to get a bit cold, and you can tell that Jackie is probably regretting her choice to sleep out here. And Shauna comes out and she's essentially just like, look, we're being silly. Will you just come back inside? So Jackie gets up, she comes back inside, she sits down. Lottie gives her hot chocolate and she's like, how? But Shauna's like, that doesn't matter. Shauna says that she loves her and that she's sorry, and they all say that they're sorry. Shauna tells Jackie, you're the best friend I've ever had. You know that, right? And she says, I know. Miss Laura Lee is sitting there. She also sees an unidentified man in the corner and she's like, we cut to Shauna waking up and feeling off, feeling wrong. She goes to the window and she looks out the window and it's freezing cold. She sees that there is snow. It has snowed overnight. She rushes downstairs and out the door and she finds Jackie frozen to death. She runs up to her and sobs and screams and just like begs her to wake up. The girls all rush outside after her. Ty holds her. Shauna's devastated because Jackie is dead. That is essentially how season 1 ends with the teen timeline, with Shauna devastated over Jackie's passing, Ty holding her tightly, winter officially coming. 25 years later, and we are in the adult timeline. Now that we've caught up on season 1's teen timeline, it is time to catch up on season 1's adult timeline. Also, quick disclaimer, this was my first ever project to have a budget, and with the teen timeline, I used CVS for most of my photos, but for the adult timeline, I did not have enough funds to continue that strategy. So for this one, I had to print out a lot of photos at the library and at my aunt's house. So that's why most of these will be printed photos, but hopefully for season 2 and season 3, I will have the proper budget to be able to do CVS photos for like everything, but we'll see. 25 years later, so let's catch up with our adult survivors. It is 2021. Let's set the scene. 2021. We open up with reporter Jessica Roberts as she is interviewing people who were affected by the YELLOWJACKETS disappearance. This is Jessica Roberts. She's talking to anyone and everyone who may have known the YELLOWJACKETS, been related to the YELLOWJACKETS, essentially just trying to figure out what was it like, what happened. She also spoke to Allie, the girl who was almost on the YELLOWJACKETS plane, but then Ty messed up her leg, and so she ended up not going. Jessica Roberts is speaking to anyone and everyone. She's talking to like trigonometry teachers and the principal, and she also talks to Jeff's best friend, Randy, aka Randy Walsh, the guy that Shauna was pretending was the baby daddy when she was trying to save face with Jackie. Say hello to Randy. Jessica essentially asks everybody, what do you think really happened out there? Implying that either the YELLOWJACKETS were vague when they returned, or there's a huge gap in the public's awareness of what happened while they were in the wilderness itself. We cut to adult Shauna, confirming that Shauna is one of the survivors. She's in her daughter Callie's room, and to be honest, I don't really want to talk about what she's doing. Does it matter? The point is she has a daughter. Yeah, we're gonna move on. Say hello to the Sadecki family. We find out when we pan like through her house and we see photos in the background that Miss Shauna Shipman married Jackie's ex-boyfriend Jeff Sadecki, and they had a daughter named Callie. Can you imagine? Because like, I have so many questions about what led to this decision. What led to this? What led to marriage? Jessica approaches Shauna when she's outside, like bringing in groceries, and Shauna's having none of it. She's like, I'm not talking to you. I don't talk to reporters, but I'm guessing you already know that. But Jessica's like, look, I could offer you like a book deal. Like you can make so much money. She's trying to get Shauna to see the benefits of accepting a deal with Jessica, because she's saying that like there are people who are making money off of your story and they don't even know what you went through. And they're making money talking about you and they didn't even know you, which is very intriguing. But Shauna's still like, no girl, I'm not gonna sit here and spill my secrets to you for a damn book deal. Jessica follows Shauna into her kitchen and she's like trying to persuade her, and at some point she essentially says like, did you really think that this is what your life was gonna turn out to look like? Damn, okay. Like, way to insult her entire life. Like, and Shauna's obviously reasonably pissed. Like, excuse you, my life is fine. I have a husband, I have a daughter. You do not need to come in here and tell me that my life could have been better. Like, that was insulting. So she kicks Jessica out naturally because she's being a little, she's doing a little much. We see that Natalie is alive and in rehab. It's her last day of rehab. Natalie is in group therapy and she talks about how having a sense of purpose is so important in this world, because when she lost her sense of purpose, when she came back from the wilderness, it broke her down. And in so many ways, she was responsible for the group's survival by being the one who provided them food. And when she came back, she didn't have that role anymore. She didn't have that important purpose that kept her going, that made her feel like she contributed something to somebody else's life, let alone an entire group of people's lives. It's also heavily implied that even though she's been in rehab and she's been in group therapy, nobody in that group actually knows what she went through. One of them is even like, okay, what did you do out there? And then the other group member is like, Ariana, hush. Like, we're not gonna force her to talk about it.
What happened out there, what I saw, what I did.
Oh my God, what did you do? You literally never told us.
Zip it, Ariana.
So it's very evident that like, all of the Yellowjackets are being really cagey about whatever happened out there, and none of them are sharing anything. Shauna is ironing and she looks at the TV and she sees Ty on TV because she's running for state senator. And honestly, Shauna seems a little bit annoyed at this. Like, why is she on TV? So that's curious. So we cut from this to Ty taking photos for a local magazine with her wife Simone and her son Sammy. The three of them are taking like family photos with their dog Biscuit. And Ty shuts down any and all questions, comments, anything about the wilderness. The photographer tries to ask about it and wants to get like a quote, and she's like, nope. And she says something inspiring about like how she wants to like leave the past in the past and move towards our collective future. I don't remember the exact quote.
I really just want to focus on our collective future, not my past.
Ooh, a soundbite. I love it.
Shauna's cooking dinner, Callie comes home, and you can tell right off the bat Callie is not a fan of her, and it's not clear why. Like, it's so confusing as to like why she hates her mom so much, but it's clear that there's some messed up communication there. And Shauna also expresses that she does not like Callie's boyfriend Kyle, so there's just like a lot of contention and resentment between the two of them. And we cut to Nat smoking on the steps of the rehab center, and she jumps into a taxi and she basically asks like how many people go straight from here to the bar. And he's like, is that where you want to go? She says that she needs to go to LAX because she needs to get on a plane. We then cut to Shauna killing a rabbit with a shovel, Shauna things. And there's like a lot of like tense, creepy, like wilderness type music when she's cleaning her hands and cleaning all the blood. She opens up a safe and pulls out her wilderness journals to reach a burner underneath it. She says, we need to talk. And she goes to a cafe of some kind. And Ty shows up. The two of them talk. And Shauna's essentially just like, hey, listen, this reporter's been talking to me. It's weird. It's fishy. I don't like it. I want you to take care of it. And Ty's dismissing it. She's like, I don't think it's a problem. You know these people. They come out of the woodwork. We're literally approaching the 25th anniversary. Like, of course, people are going to be asking us questions. We just need to stay quiet, keep our heads low, keep moving. But Shauna seems like very paranoid about it. She's like, no, I think this is an actual issue. I need you to take care of it. Shauna says that she's upset that Ty was on TV and she feels like them being on TV was breaking their deal. Shauna tells her that if someone is digging, we are all fucked, which is very interesting because what could you have possibly done out there that's bad enough for it to be detrimental to you now if someone finds out? Like, it's very intriguing. Shauna asks Ty if she's talked to Natalie, and she's like, no, she's in rehab. And so Shauna asks, is there any sign of the others? And she says no. We cut to Natalie opening up a storage unit with her car inside, and she opens up the trunk of the car and pulls out a rifle. We cut to adult Misty leaving her work and getting into her car.
Don't fuck with me.
and Natalie's just kind of watching her from afar. So it's clear that Natalie is intending to talk to Misty. Shauna is very paranoid about the whole Jessica Roberts situation, so she's rereading her journals and she just looks visibly anxious. Like, this girl is worried. And that's the end of episode 1. In episode 2, Misty's on a date and it's very awkward, to say the least. Shauna's driving and she calls Callie. She's like, can you please defrost something that's in the freezer? And Callie's just like smoking and she doesn't care. Like, she's not responding at all. She's probably high. And then Shauna gets into a fender bender and she's just annoyed. Like, this is her last straw. She's like, you gotta be kidding me. She gets out of the car and she's like, what the heck, dude? The man that she gets into a fender bender with is none other than Adam Martin. She says something about how, does being cute work for you? And he's like, oh, so you think I'm cute? It's one of those interactions.
What is this? Adorable? Are you trying to be adorable with me? Does that usually work for you?
And he just couldn't give a single crap. Like, he's so unbothered by the fact that he just hit this woman with his car. Adam writes his number on Shauna's arm and says that he knows somebody that can get her car fixed for a really good deal. And she's like, okay, whatever. And she gets back into her car. We then cut to Shauna and Jeff in counseling, and it's very awkward. And the counselor basically gives them some assignments to try to work on their marriage. So Shauna and Jeff have some issues to work out. And apparently Jeff has been very, very stressed lately because of his furniture shop. And I want to give a quick deserved shout out to Jeff Sadecki, because no one loves their furniture more than this man. This man loves his furniture more than most people like anything. This is them in counseling. Guys, let's ignore the quality of the photo. The budget was not budgeting today. Misty's date drives her home and she kind of guilts him into coming inside. It's very awkward. And the minute they walk in, Natalie's sitting there with a gun and she's like, hello, Misty, you crazy fucking bitch. And the guy who was with Misty just goes, okay, nope, and he just leaves. And honestly, real. That was really funny. Misty is completely unbothered that Natalie has a literal gun pointed at her, and she just assumes that Natalie's here because of the postcard. And Natalie realizes that a creepy postcard that she received, Misty also received. And that is this postcard. So evidently, Misty and Natalie both received that creepy postcard, and they're not sure who it's from. Misty is adamant on the fact that it was not her. Natalie suspects it was definitely Misty, and she doesn't believe Misty when she tells her that it wasn't her, but I think that Natalie can tell a little bit that there might be another possible explanation for this, because it seems like Misty's telling the truth. But then again, it's Misty, so you never know. So Natalie's a little on edge, and she's not fully trusting Misty yet. Misty has, of course, put a ton of thought into this. She's thought about it extensively, and she pulls out this like big accordion-sized folder, and it's got tons of information. They go to a bar to go discuss the evidence, discuss the possible suspects. Misty doesn't really seem to have any specific theories, but she does have all the information on the existing Yellowjackets. We are not told how many there are or what information she has, but Natalie does find some information about Travis, including a small print of what appears to be an ID. Natalie's very curious about Travis because it is implied that she has not heard from him or seen him in a very long time. So to see him and to see confirmation that he's possibly alive is very intriguing to her, and you can see an instant motivation to look for him. You know, curious if maybe he got the postcard or if he's involved, just wondering. I think part of it is also just Natalie wanting to know how Travis is. Even though they broke up back in like 96, she still cares about him, and it's implied that there's a lot more history between them than what we saw, obviously, so we have no idea how things progressed from that breakup forward. There could be so much history that we completely know nothing about. Misty tells Natalie something along the lines of Travis doesn't want to be found. You can see this determination in Natalie's eyes. Like, even though that's probably true, she still wants to find him anyway. And then Kevin Tan approaches them. Kevin is the kid that Natalie was friends with. It's the kid that she was listening to music with when her father kicked him out, and then she accidentally was involved in her father's passing. And Kevin is also the kid that she was originally drinking and doing shrooms, I think, with during the party in the pilot. Kevin is a very old friend of hers. He very obviously has feelings for her, so that definitely adds to their dynamic. Kevin is also a detective now. Natalie essentially kind of dismisses him and just kind of leaves the bar with Travis's information. She's not interested in talking to Kevin or even talking to Misty anymore. It's clear that she has a goal now, and that goal is to see Travis. So Ty comes home and she's got food with her, but Simone is very pissed off at her because she missed an important teacher conference for Sammy, and evidently the teacher is concerned about Sammy, concerned about his mental health, and you can tell that Simone is definitely also concerned as a parent, but Ty is kind of dismissive about it, definitely mirroring the way she was dismissive towards Van's concerns back when they were in the wilderness. I think Ty has a a consistent tendency to kind of dismiss things and to rationalize them and intellectualize them rather than address them as complex emotions that can be worked through. So that is a consistent flaw in Ty's character, but you can definitely see it still shining here even 25 years later. And she cares about Sammy. She's an amazing mother. She loves him so much, but at the same time, I think that she's dismissing this because things have been stressful. There have been changes. She's running for state senator. There are rational things to rationalize this away. There are ways that she can intellectualize this and kind of dismiss it without it being like a deeper problem that she needs to solve. Here's Simone in this scene. Simone is such a good mom. You can tell that she cares deeply about Sammy and she understands where Ty is coming from. She knows that things have been stressful with running for state senator, with everything else that's been going on with the anniversary of the YELLOWJACKETS. Like, she's fully well aware that there's a lot been going on for Ty, but she also sees the way that that's affecting their kid. And you can tell that she's very passionate about making sure that Sammy's okay, making sure that he has the support that he needs. And there's definitely a little bit of a rift already occurring because Ty is being a little dismissive. And although that's not her intention to just dismiss things, it's definitely a coping mechanism that's affecting Simone in a negative way. But I quite literally wrote down in my script here, I'm going to go ahead and skip Shauna and Jeff awkwardly trying to have sex. And then I just move straight on. So Ty finds a postcard in her office. So Ty has officially also received one of the creepy postcards. So that makes 3 of the YELLOWJACKETS who have officially received one. Simone comes into the office and she wants Ty to read to Sammy before bed, and so Ty kind of just puts the postcard away, not gonna think about it, focusing on her kid. But Ty goes into his room. So Sammy is holding up a flashlight and Ty is making animals, and it's cutesy, they're having fun, but then Ty does like this wolf with her hands, and you can tell that it triggers something in her, so she's like, nope, not doing this. So they stop doing that. Ty then decides to move over to the window and she opens the curtains. His window, like just covering his entire window, making the room very dark, even without the curtains, are these pictures, these drawings. And they're noticeably very creepy in nature. And so Ty's obviously taken aback and she's like, Sammy, what is this? And he says that they're so that she can't see me. And Ty's instantly freaked out, as any parent would be. And she's like, so who can't see you? Like, very visibly creeped out. And Sammy is like very apathetic. He's not speaking, but he's also clearly visibly like frustrated, almost like scared maybe. She's trying to figure out like what he's talking about, but he's being very ambiguous. And she's like, Samuel, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And he says that he's referring to the lady in the tree. Now this obviously horrifies Ty, because what the hell does he mean, the lady in the tree? There's no winning here. Like, this is a horrible situation. And there's a lot of heavy implications here as well, because we just got a reference to a wolf, right? Which reminded her of the night that Van was attacked. That same night, she fell asleep and woke up in a tree. So naturally, when she hears that there is a lady in the tree, some creepy connections are being made in her head here, and she's wondering, what does that mean? And it reminds her of a time that's very traumatizing, obviously, and scary. He specifically says, the lady in the tree, she watches me at night. And then he starts singing, Sammy, Sammy, over and over and over again. Very creepy. We cut to Shauna cooking dinner, and fender bender Adam Martin calls. This guy over here. He's being very flirty. He's like, hey, you haven't called yet. And she's like, how do you know that? And he's like, well, I work at the place that I suggested for you. So she's like, oh. He's just being very flirty, and he's like, how about I take you on a date and then I fix your car for free? And she's like, no, I'm good. No, thank you. Like, she's just shutting it down immediately. Immediately after this call, she kills a bunny in her yard. So, typical Shauna things.
Hello?
Travis?
I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number.
We cut to a Sadecki family dinner, and Jeff is rambling on about how his furniture store is going. He's very passionate about his furniture store, and he realizes very quickly that both Shauna and Callie are completely clocked out. They're not listening to a word he's saying, and so he's just like, Shauna is in a mood. She's talking about the food, and she's like, yeah, I did something different this time. I, killed a rabbit in the yard. Jeff is immediately like, okay, you're in a mood, dismissing it like she's making a joke or something. So they both think that she's kidding. She is not. I quite literally wrote, once again, skipping Shauna and Jeff's awkward smoosh time. And then after their smoosh time, Jeff asks Shauna if she was kidding about the rabbit. And she's like, yeah, of course, I was joking. Of course, I didn't actually kill a rabbit and then cook it into dinner. That would be psychotic. And he leaves to go take a shower, I think. And then she like turns over and she sees that his phone has buzzed. So she looks at it and someone named Bianca has texted him. Who's Bianca? So of course, Shauna, already paranoid, but this is a very clear sign of something going on between Jeff and some chick named Bianca. She immediately assumes to herself, oh, he's cheating on me. Next off, we cut to Natalie. She's in her car and realizes that it's not starting, so something's wrong with her car. And Misty Quigley, coincidentally, by pure happenstance, rolls up next to her and she's like, oh, hey, Natalie, is your car not working? I'll give you a ride. Natalie knows on some level this is suspicious, but also she has places to be, so we accept the ride. Here is Miss Misty, coincidentally. It's just so lucky that she just happened to be in the neighborhood and she just happened to pull into this motel parking lot so that she could come to Natalie's aid. Next up, we have Thaisa watching a video that her opponent in the race, Phil Bathurst, has made about her, implying some very nasty things and quite literally, like subtly but also very obviously implying that she's a cannibal with some videos and some choice wording. Simone lovingly reminds her not to let this make her stoop to Phil's level because you're better than that. Jeff's making a smoothie for the day and Shauna remembers that Bianca asked if he could meet with her at a certain time. So she's like, oh hey Jeff, I'm gonna drop off the car at this time. Do you think you could pick me up? And he's instantly like, oh, darn, I have work. So liar. So we're lying now. Okay, Jeff. She knows he's lying. She's like, oh, okay. But she's on to him now. So, all right, cut to Nat and Misty. They're on a little road trip. Misty is yapping and Natalie looks like she wants to jump out of the car. And they are going to Travis's assumed address. Misty, during a pit stop, goes inside of the gas station to go get a snack. Nat opens the dash and sees that her car part, whatever it was that Misty took out of the car, is in there. So it's very obvious to her now that Misty sabotaged her car. Here is her. Shauna is in her car following Jeff's car as he leaves work and goes somewhere else. At the time, he claimed he was going to be at work, so she follows him, tailing him. He leads her directly to a hotel. Ty is in her office and she calls up Jessica. And oh my Yellow Jackets. She is the one who hired Jessica. So after all this, she's the one who hired Jessica because apparently it was part of her strategy while she was running for state senator to hire someone to look into the Yellow Jackets to make sure that no one was going to spill their guts about anything, to make sure that nobody could ruin her reputation. Shauna talked to you about this and you didn't think to share with her that you're the one who hired Jessica? Like, she has to hang up the phone because Sammy pushed a kid in the park. And she rushes over and she's trying to figure out what happened. He just seems very apathetic about the whole situation and very quiet and doesn't want to share what happened. He attacked this kid because this kid called Ty a cannonball. Simone and Ty decide that they're going to try to talk to Sammy about what happened, but he's very rude, very dismissive. He's immediately like, no, not talking about it. Like, he's mad. Ty's like, hey, don't talk to me like that. And he just like, he kind of explodes on her. And so she's like, oh, okay, go to your room. Like, what are you doing? And she also takes away his creepy doll, Manny. And he says, give him back, in like the most intense voice I've ever heard come out of a literal child. And she sends him to his room. Natalie and Misty come across Travis's assumed address and they can't find a way in, so Natalie just kind of like breaks the window with her elbow. So we're breaking and entering now. And they enter and they're looking around for any kind of evidence or any kind of suggestion as to where Travis might be or what's going on with him, and they don't really seem to find anything. So someone must have called the police because the police show up and Natalie's like, we're visiting an old friend. And he's like, such an old friend, you had to break their window open. So they're obviously getting arrested because B&E is an actual crime. So they can't just like get away with it. And it doesn't matter that you know Travis, like you're still gonna get in trouble for it. So then we cut to Miss Shauna trying to convince the hotel employee to give her information about Jeff. She's like, no, listen, I'm his wife. I need to know where he is. And she's like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't give you that information. Like, that's confidential information. And then Shauna's like, okay, listen, I'm in the CIA, Homeland Security, and this is very important. I need to know where Jeff is. This employee's not taking it. Like, they don't believe her. It's very obvious they don't believe her. But Mr. Fenderbender shows up. He's like, hey, agent, briefing is on the line. You need to come take this. And so she's like, oh, that sounds important. So she walks away and she's like, thank you, you saved me there. And he's like, what are you doing here? But I think the real question is, what are you doing here, Adam? Why are you here? So yeah, immediately suspicious. And I'm just wondering what the hell he's doing here because that's like, it's a weird coincidence. Of all the people to run into, you run into the guy who you ran into with your car, who's been very flirty with you, like it's giving stalker behavior, but maybe he just likes to hang out in hotels. But cutting away from that situation, Misty and Nat are now in jail. Here's Misty and Nat in their little jail cell. They both obviously get a phone call, so Natalie goes first and she calls Ty, and Ty is like, oh, so I paid for your rehab, you got out of rehab, and now you're immediately in jail. Ty is pretty pissed off that she's looking for Travis. Like, she implies that every time that Natalie and Travis find each other or they seek each other out, it leads to disaster. So it's implied that some of the times that Ty has paid for rehab, it's because Natalie went back to Travis. So she's immediately annoyed and she's like, I'm not busting you out this time. And either way, I can't pull strings right now. Simone is worried about Sammy. Like, I have too much going on in my personal life to solve your issues again. Like, you deal with it on your own. Ty hangs up on Natalie. She's not gonna help her with this time. She's busted her out of situations way too many times and she's sick of it. Natalie goes back to their cell and she sincerely doubts that Misty has anybody to call. And when she comes back, her call actually worked because she called Kevin Tan. Ty tries to talk to Sammy because obviously attacking another kid at the playground isn't okay no matter what the reason. So she talks to him and she's like, hey, like, we don't do that. She essentially just tells him that what people say about her isn't true. And Sammy agrees and completely understands this. And he just says, I know, because you're not the bad one. So like, what does that mean? That's an interesting phrase. Ty is very concerned as to what Sammy's talking about, because before he was talking about a lady in the tree, he was talking about like being watched. And now he's talking about like the bad one. And what does that have to do with people's perception of her? Like, so then Ty goes into her office and calls Phil and essentially threatens him, don't talk about me again, or I'm going to make sure that your daughter's like dirty laundry is posted on every single newspaper in the area. You attacked my image, so do it again and I'll attack yours.
Another move like that and your daughter's face is above the fold of every newspaper in the tri-state area.
This is her. I almost forgot. Before Misty's call worked and before the call to Phil Bathurst, Shauna and Adam were at the hotel and they were like sitting in a booth together. And then Shauna sees Jeff leave with Bianca, confirming for her that they are cheating. That is this scene. So that is Adam and Shauna like having a little drink at the hotel, and then they see both Jeff and Bianca leave the hotel together. So confirmation, it appears that Mr. Jeff Sadecki is cheating. Marking the end of the third episode, we have Misty and Natalie going to a ranch that they found. They walk in and they find Travis, and Travis is unfortunately no longer alive. And it would appear that he unalived himself. Misty finds this note that says, tell Nat she was right. Travis Martinez is officially dead. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to print out a photo of dead Travis, so instead I printed out a picture of a live Travis to celebrate his life, rather than put a picture of a dead man on the board, because I just didn't feel like doing that. I love Travis too much to do that. I didn't want that on my wall, so I still miss Travis, to be honest. I loved Travis. Obviously, Natalie is devastated to find this out, and they have to rush out because the police are on their way, so this happened recently. All right, so it's episode 4. Natalie's back at home. Misty's at work. She's called Natalie, and she's reading off of a list of things to say to a loved one who recently lost someone to unaliving. And she kind of says something along the lines of like, Natalie, it's not your fault. And Natalie's like, oh, I know it wasn't my fault because someone killed Travis. And Misty's like, wait, what? But Natalie is like convinced. She's dead set on the theory that Travis was killed by someone else, that he did not do the unaliving. No matter what Misty says, she's not going to change her mind. Like, she truly believes that Travis would never do this. She's insistent. She's like, Travis wouldn't do this to himself, and he certainly wouldn't do it without saying goodbye to me. Like, he wouldn't do this. And she's also very intrigued by the note he left behind, because it didn't seem like an unaliving note. It just seemed like a warning. So she's obviously very determined to figure out what that means. What happened to Travis? She needs to find out. So Natalie hangs up on Misty and she goes to her mom's old place to find a tape. It's the tape that Kevin gave her that day that her father passed. We then cut to Simone helping Ty prep for this like party she has to go to, where she has to talk to some like important people. Simone is just reminding her like, you got this, it's gonna be okay. She's being very wife. I love Simone. We also cut to Shauna doing her makeup and thinking about Adam. That day when they hung out, they also went back to an apartment and they smooshed. So she's thinking about the smoosh time. And then we cut to Nat on a date with Kevin. And then we kind of pan over and we see that Misty is at that same restaurant watching them, because of course she is. We then cut to Ty at her important party and she's trying to make good impressions on some people, but she has to turn down a lot of the food because it has meat in it, so it's immediately implied like she's vegan and doesn't eat any meat. Shauna and Adam are on a date. They're in Shauna's car, and Shauna goes up to a stranger and pays him $20 to go into a gas station, I assume, to buy her and Adam crappy liquor, and they pour out these like juice cups and then they put the alcohol in the juice cups. Adam says something about how this is like a quintessential high school experience, and he kind of asks Shauna like, how come you didn't do this when you were in high school? She makes it clear that it's not the wilderness that led to her not having like a quintessential high school experience. It's the fact that while she was in high school, she just didn't have those experiences, and instead she focused on school and herself and her goals. It's clear that Adam is this outlet for Shauna to behave in a childish manner and to revert back to these teenage years and pretend that she's a kid again. Ty is at the party and she's trying to get through these conversations. They're very boring, lots of small talk, and she has to like spit out an appetizer that she didn't realize had meat in it, and then a pig comes out, which upsets her. She feels like she's being surrounded by reminders of the wilderness, I guess, and then they start asking her about the wilderness and she's like, oh, okay, no, not answering these. But she sees a wolf out of the corner of her eye and ends up following it. And then she goes off to another room for a smoke break, and this blonde woman that she wants to talk to comes up to her and they share a cigarette, and the blonde woman offers her a Cliff Bar. No idea what her name is, to be honest with you. Cutting back to the restaurant, Natalie and Kevin finally notice that Misty is there. And so they go up to Misty. Natalie tells her, like, go the fuck home. And Misty goes to talk to Jessica Roberts, and she essentially threatens her, stop spying on my friends. Jessica does not seem to be afraid of her, but Misty's like, you really should be. That is this scene. We then cut to Shauna and Adam having fun on a mini golf date. So they went from the drinking quintessential high school experience thing to now mini golf. All right, now cutting to Ty talking to the blonde girl. Ty is talking about how she's very proud to have an effect on people in communities that she's a part of, and that means a lot to her as a person who chooses to be an advocate and a public figure. And then Blondie says that she will endorse Ty, and that's very exciting for Ty. She's like, oh, thank you so much, like that would mean the world to me. She was hoping that she could get an endorsement from Blondie tonight, but then there's a string attached. I will endorse you if you tell me about the wilderness, if you spill the tea on what happened in the wilderness. So obviously this whole situation was a ploy just to get Ty to open up, so she's obviously mad, you know, she's been used. She drops this iconic line.
And watch my tone. I'll perfectly calibrate my tone as I tell you to go fuck yourself.
Queen behavior. Natalie and Travis is dead too soon. Natalie and Kevin are both talking outside of the restaurant, and Natalie gives him the tape that Kevin gave her all those years ago as a gesture. And she also like turns down an offer to kiss her. And she expresses that she's still thinking about Travis and it's very hard for her and she doesn't think she's ready. Here they are here. And then Natalie is kind of like, you know, I am having a hard time moving on because I feel like he struggled with staying sober, and not knowing whether or not he was sober when he did what he did is driving me crazy. She essentially kind of leads him to offer, how about I look into his tox report and I find out for you. Natalie's so thankful. She kisses him goodbye and then gets into a taxi. When she gets home, she immediately like washes her mouth out, and I feel like that is definitely related to her choosing to kiss Kevin. She's feeling a lot of complicated things at the moment. Cutting to Shauna and Adam, they are about to skinny dip and jump into a lake off of a bridge, and they're undressing, and then Shauna turns around and sees Jackie, teenage Jackie. Jackie tells her someone's gonna get hurt. Shauna just kind of like brushes her off and doesn't want to pay attention to this like moment, and she undresses and jumps into the lake. She's clearly still haunted by Jackie's death, and she's haunted by what Jackie reminds her of. They also smoosh in Adam's car. When Shauna gets home, Misty calls her and she's like, why are you calling me? And then she tells her, I just thought you should know Travis is dead. She's known Travis since they were children, so this definitely affects her finding this out, and she's just like, oh. And then Misty hangs up and she's got this smile on her face. Callie tells her that she's going to the city for Halloween, and Shauna's like, you're funny. No, you're not doing that. Like, you're not just gonna go into the city. You're 16 years old. But it's obvious that Callie doesn't care. She wasn't asking for permission. She was just telling her. Shauna and Jeff argue about Callie, but they kind of agree that they both need to do better as parents. Natalie gets a call from Travis. Why do I keep saying that? I keep mixing them up. It's driving me crazy. Natalie gets a call from Kevin, and Kevin confirms for her that the toxology report confirms that Travis was clean when he passed. She calls Misty, who agrees to contact somebody that she knows who can get all of Travis's information. Ty is in her office feeling stressed, and Simone tries to comfort her, but when they kiss, the dog growls, and she looks out the window and not only sees a wolf, but also hears a wolf, and she's very confused and disturbed. Look at them though. For like a second, they were happy. She goes outside to where the wolf was, but when she gets there, it's gone, and she turns and sees that somebody has painted "spill" in big capital letters on the side of her apartment building. Sammy is dressed as a sandwich for Halloween, which is so cute because they both call him like Sandwich. Simone, interestingly enough, encourages Ty to return the favor to Phil. And this is an interesting juxtaposition because she was just telling Ty don't stoop to his level, but now she's like, stoop to his level. Do it. He deserves it. So we switched up a little bit. And then Ty finds paint, red paint, under Sammy's bed, implying that Sammy is the one who wrote "spill" on the side of their apartment. Shauna and Adam are going to a Halloween party. Keep that in mind. Misty goes to Nat's place and informs her that contact, the one who can get the information on his entire file, wants to meet in real life before the transaction. Simone and Ty both confront Sammy about the red paint. They're like, hey, why is there red paint under your bed? Like, did you write spill on our apartment? Like, was that you? And he tells them that the bad one / the lady in the tree did it. They don't believe him because he's being very cagey, very dismissive. He has red paint under his bed. Why else would it be there? It's weird. Misty and Natalie both go to this restaurant to meet the contact, and he's being very like, okay, but what do I get in return? So they, instead of making a deal with him, Natalie gets a lighter out and Misty pours something all over him. Here's Miss Natalie holding the fire. I think she quite literally says, either give me the file or I'm gonna light your dick on fire. Of course it scares the shit out of him and he's like, okay. Shauna and Adam are both at a Halloween party, and out of the corner of her eye, Shauna thinks that she sees Jackie, and she goes towards what she believes is Jackie, and Jackie turns around and it's Callie wearing Jackie's uniform. Here's Miss Callie. This iconic shot. Shauna ditches Adam to bring Callie home, but Callie very obviously saw Adam and Shauna together. Sammy's sound asleep now, and Simone tells Ty, you haven't been okay, and it's affecting our son now. Ty hears her on her concerns and tells her that she's gonna drop out of the race because it's too much on their family, it's clearly affecting Sammy, and she doesn't want that for her kid, obviously. Both Natalie and Misty are looking at all of the photos of the crime scene of Travis, trying to figure out what happened to him, piece the pieces together, and they end up putting the photos together, like of the barn floor. They realize that you can see the symbol. Natalie says that this is bad, and it proves that she was right because Travis apparently didn't believe in any of this stuff. He didn't believe in the wilderness stuff. He didn't believe in this symbol stuff. This to her proves that something happened to him because there's no way he would have done this. There's no way he would have put candles in the shape of the symbol. Callie and Shauna are home now, and she asks about Adam, and she also implies to Shauna that Adam definitely knows who she is, and so she thinks that Shauna's being really stupid for not considering that and for thinking that Adam has no idea who the Yellow Jackets are and he's not interested in any of that. And also it is confirmed that she had no idea that the jersey that she wore was Jackie's. Callie also tells Shauna that she can tell that Shauna isn't fine and that lying to her isn't going to do her any good because she knows that she's not okay. Ty is in front of reporters and cameras, and she's about to announce that she's dropping out of the race, but then at the last second she changes her mind, tears down like whatever was covering Spill, and tells everybody what happened and that she's staying in the race and that nothing's gonna make her back out. And so obviously Simone's confused, you know, she supports her through everything, but like she directly lied to her, said that she was gonna drop out and then she didn't. That's Simone and Sammy in the background. During the Spill scene, Ty also sees the man with no eyes. Callie talks to Shauna and tries to blackmail her into giving her a later curfew, and the blackmail she's using is, I will tell Dad or Jeff everything that you're keeping from him if you don't do these things for me. But Shauna's like, okay, tell him. And then when you tell him, he's gonna be all depressed, be a man getting divorced from his wife that he loves, and your life is gonna be messed up too because of that. So the blackmail does not work because Shauna could not care less. She's just like, okay, tell him. And she literally calls Jeff into the room and says, Callie has something to tell you. Instead, Callie then decides to just come clean about going to the city even though she wasn't supposed to, and then calling Shauna to bring her home or whatever. Shauna called her bluff and she chickened out. Here is the smug little smile on Callie's face before she realized that Shauna was calling her bluff. Callie clearly got into Shauna's head about the whole Adam situation, and she goes to her home computer and essentially Googles herself. So she Googles Shauna Shipman or Shauna Sadecki just to see what pops up when you Google her name, just to see what Adam could know by just simply Googling her. It's definitely planted into her head that maybe Adam knows more than he's letting on, because it's really easy to figure out who Shauna is just by Googling her name. Like, Ty goes to Natalie's place and Natalie kind of fills her in on like what she knows and what's going on, and they both receive this weird creepy text requesting that they bring $50,000 to this like undisclosed location and not to discuss it with other teammates. And in this text is the symbol. Shauna shows up to Natalie's place and is actually really surprised to hear about all the blackmailing. We see that Misty is watching them through a hidden camera that she placed in Natalie's room. She's just sitting there watching them. Misty steals a ton of drugs from her work. Jeff reminds Shauna to get ready for Jackie's birthday brunch at the Taylor's house. They go to brunch and Jackie's parents give her like this little bunny knick-knack, and crap ton of bunnies she has in her kitchen and throughout her house are probably all from the Taylors. Shauna makes things a little bit awkward by claiming that she does not even like her daughter, and Jeff tries to like brush it off like it's a joke. And then the Taylors offer to pay for Callie's school, and Shauna is like, no thank you, we're not gonna take that. So brunch gets very awkward very, very quickly. Ty is trying to get a $50K withdrawal from her bank. Unfortunately, a withdrawal of that size Ty's would require a signature from her wife. So she cannot just take $50,000 out of her account without Simone figuring it out or finding out about it. And it's not exactly a good time to ask for Simone's signature because Simone is telling Ty that she's taking Sammy to a child psychologist and she better be there. Like, Thaisa better be at that appointment. Shauna walks away from brunch and she roams around and finds Jackie's room, which clearly has not been touched in like 30 years. She looks through Jackie's journals and remembers a memory of them when they were probably about 13, maybe 12. And Jackie was essentially, you know, asking Shauna to ask Jeff if he liked her. And
your friend Randy told me that you asked him to ask me to ask Jackie if she likes you.
Shauna's like, wait, do you like him? Jackie says, yeah. And Shauna's like, oh my God, why didn't you tell me? She finds a photo of young Jeff and Jackie together back when they were still a couple. And she kind of envisions young Jackie telling her, it's not your fault, you know. And Shauna says, I know. But then young Jackie says, actually, you don't know. It's totally your fault. But we were kids and it was awful. Shauna asks, why are you here? And she answers with, why are you here? Jeff walks in and Shauna asks him, do you wish Jackie came back with me? Do you wish that she hadn't died? Do you wish that you could have chosen a life with Jackie over a life with me? Like, a lot of heavy questions in one insinuation as they're like in Jackie's room. Jeff just asks her if she wants to leave. They go back to brunch though, and the Taylors are being a little passive aggressive, and Jeff sticks up for Shauna, and Shauna's not some placeholder for Jackie.
Shauna and I were sleeping together when Jackie and I were still a couple. Because the truth is, Jackie was amazing. But so is my damn wife, and she still is. And I may have been an idiot then, but at least I was smart enough to see that.
Jeff and Shauna have had like relationship marital issues, and so to see him clearly visibly care about her and stick up for her in this way, it means something, and he's willing to stick up for her. Here's Jeff sticking up for his wife. Ty is driving and her and Simone are basically talking about Sammy, and Simone is like, look, he's not okay. And Ty almost hits a biker with her car. So she's very distracted, and also she looks very tired. Like, it does not seem like she's slept in a hot minute. And Simone is very stressed. She's worried about Sammy, and that definitely caused a rift between them, and now there's just a lot of contention. Natalie's cleaning her rifle, and Ty calls her and just like, I can't get the 50K. That's too much. I can't do it. I'm sorry. And Natalie just kind of hangs up on her. She's very frustrated. And Kevin shows up and offers Natalie a ride. She accepts his offer and sells her car and agrees to go on some errands with Kevin. Jeff is driving him and Shauna home, and he essentially tells Shauna that he doesn't wish that he'd married Jackie.
I don't wish I'd married Jackie. I don't wish things were different. We've made a life together, Shauna.
He didn't wish that things ended up differently, and he doesn't regret the life he has now. And I think Shauna really needed to hear that. One of Kevin's errands is going to see his son's soccer game, and then Natalie gives him some tips and advice. And you can tell that it's a little triggering for her. And after Kevin's son wins, she just can't really handle it, and she walks away because, I mean, I can't even imagine like seeing a soccer game with like everything that's associated with for her. Like, I doubt she's even played soccer since the plane crash happened. She's just kind of hanging out in the parking lot, and Kevin finds her and comforts her. You can tell they really understand each other. They have a bond. So Kevin and Natalie go back to Natalie's place and they smoosh, and we see that Misty is watching them through the hidden camera. I can't defend this. This is just gross. Like, this is gross, Misty. And Misty's like doing something with the drugs she stole. Misty drugs and kidnaps Jessica Roberts. And Nat gets another anonymous text, this time with a location to drop the 50K. Natalie texts Ty about the 50K location drop-off, and Natalie's text actually wakes up Ty, and she sees that she's like in a tree and she's eating dirt, and she's got like a cut on her hand, and she's horrified. And then episode 7 opens with her like going to the bathroom and like washing it all off, and she's like crying. She's really horrified. I mean, imagine waking up in a tree, like your mouth is covered in dirt and you've got like blood on your hand, like, and her hand has a bite mark. That's where the blood is coming from. Natalie texts Ty to hurry up and get where she's at, and Ty and Shauna both show up at Natalie's. They compile the money, and Shauna has a tracker to put in with the bag of money. They go to the location, and Nat goes over to where she's going to make the drop. Shauna is disappointed that Ty paid for Natalie's rehab again, but Ty says they wouldn't be here without Natalie. This also says a lot about their dynamics, because while Shauna is like clearly annoyed, Ty feels indebted to Natalie and feels like paying for her rehab is the least she can do, because she knows that she's well off and she has a lot of money and Natalie doesn't have that. And so she has this like internalized debt that she feels she has to pay off by taking care of Natalie in any way she can. Misty is watching Kevin sleep through the creepy camera and is actively ignoring Jessica screaming in her basement. During the stakeout, Natalie and Shauna are drinking and Ty is being very cagey and quiet, not really engaging. Nat lore drops that she's sleeping with Kevin and they're both very intrigued by this. The tracker finally moves. Misty is watching While You Were Sleeping while she interrogates Jessica Roberts. And Jessica tells Misty that she believes that Travis was murdered and that Taissa hired her. Here she is. Here's Jessica. Here's Misty binging While You Were Sleeping, which is honestly so real of her. Shauna, Nat, and Ty all follow the blackmailers. This is Natalie trying to shoot the car that the blackmailers are in, but Ty stops her. This is Natalie interrogating some guy. Shauna gets home at like 4 in the morning and Adam's just kind of chilling in her driveway waiting for her to get home. And she's like, what are you doing here? Go home. Like, what if someone sees you? Like, you're just chilling in my driveway at 4 in the morning. He was clearly waiting for her to get back because apparently she has been ghosting him and not responding to his text messages. But Jeff and Callie are not home and so they smoosh. Nat goes back home and gets back into bed with Kevin, and it seems like he doesn't even notice that she was gone. And Natalie tries to scare Jessica Roberts into giving her more information, but Jessica's playing it off like it's not working, but I feel like it's definitely working. Like, you can see the fear on her face. Like, she's definitely scared of Misty. I don't think anyone's not afraid of Misty. And Jessica essentially tells Misty that Travis's bank account was closed after he died. Jeff gets home and it's the morning and Shauna is still with Adam. And so she has to like hide him in the closet. She like tells him to leave a few seconds after the shower starts and like she goes into the other room. And so Adam's able to get out. And it's a good thing Jeff immediately wanted to shower when he got home because that could have been bad. Kevin wakes up and realizes that Natalie definitely messed with his gun, and he's a cop, so like that's bad. Every bullet has to be accounted for. To get him out of Natalie's place and to keep him uninvolved, she just kind of explodes at him and says a bunch of mean things to him, and he leaves. Callie finds Adam's ID in the house and is so pissed off that she had him in the house. Shauna essentially just breaks down though and apologizes. She also points out that Jeff isn't so innocent in this, but Callie just kind of diverts to Adam and acknowledges that it's suspicious that Adam is an artist but somehow doesn't have any social media with his art on it. Shauna then calls Pratt, the school that he claims that he went to try to find information on him, but Pratt has no idea who he is. Jeff comes home and is very excited to gift Shauna this cute little dress for the reunion that's coming up. Natalie's getting ready. Misty gets a notification on her phone and it would appear that Natalie has purchased drugs, so Misty rushes over immediately and she like jumps in front of Natalie and just snorts whatever was like on the bed, shuffles the rest of it and like tries to get it out of the air and refuses to let Natalie breathe any of it in. And Natalie's like, what the, why? And Misty's like, I'm not letting you do this, as like, it's like going straight to her head. And she has no idea what she just took. So honestly, like she is such a ride or die. She really went in there and did all of that, and she had no idea what she was taking, but she did it anyway because she wanted to protect Natalie, and I think that that's a beautiful trait, honestly. This is Misty taking Natalie's drugs. This, of course, leads to Natalie realizing that Misty has a hidden camera in her room, so she destroys it, and Misty just monitors her heart rate and is like looking at her watch and like monitoring it because she just took an entire bag of unidentified drugs, and she also fills in Nat on everything that she learned from interrogating Jessica about Travis's account. Taissa goes over to Shauna's house, interrupting a very awkward Sadeki dinner, and they go for a walk. Ty opens up about how she's been sleepwalking, and she admits that their dog Biscuit is missing, and she thinks that it might be her fault. Shauna tells Ty that they're gonna have a sleepover because she, once again, wants to protect her and wants her to be able to sleep without being afraid of what's gonna happen, just like when they were kids. Shauna and Ty make Cal's bed so that they can share it, and they talk about what could have been. Here they are. Ty and Shauna at their little sleepover. Shout out to Callie's poster that says it's never too late to marry Harry, referring to Harry Styles. That is so funny. I also think that it's interesting that this is in the background of this scene where they're both having marital problems and they're both kind of opening up about those problems. Like, I do think it's very interesting that this is in the middle of them. Like, Nat is determined to get more info on Travis's account because it is very suspicious that it was closed days after he died. Misty gets home and Jessica is holding her precious beloved bird Caligula hostage. So she loses her crap and Jessica releases Caligula and she's just horrified. She is so thankful that that bird is alive. I think Jessica's fearing for her life because that was really messed up. Shauna tells Ty during their little sleepover that she's having an affair, and she talks about Adam. Ty admits that she doesn't feel like her and Simone have a spark, at least not anymore. The very next day, Shauna brings Adam coffee, and she kind of pries about Pratt, trying to figure out, like, why didn't they know who you were? Like, if you actually went there, like, why did they have no idea? He claims that he fibbed a little and that he didn't go to Pratt, but he spent a lot of time in Pratt because he had so many friends who went there, and he felt like he went there, so he just kind of fudged the lines. He kind of blurred the lines just a little bit to impress her. her, but she's very paranoid and suspicious that it's way more than that. Natalie goes to an NA meeting and she runs into her old sponsor, who is not a fan of hers. Her name is Susie, and she asks Susie if maybe they can go get coffee, and we find out that Susie's a banker, so I feel like we know where this is going. And she essentially asks for the favor of getting Travis's information, and Susie's like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna jeopardize my job just to get you some information about somebody. So she blackmails her and essentially tells her, I'm gonna spill your secrets if you don't do this for me. Here's that. That's Susie, that's Nat. Ty opens up to Simone and tells her about the sleepwalking and about how she's afraid that she's a danger to herself and others, and she begs Simone to take Sammy and go far away from here. Simone is like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna leave you. Like, I'm here for you. Like, I'm your wife. I'm not just gonna leave you. But Ty essentially just like breaks down and begs her. She's like, I need you to leave. I don't want to hurt you or Sammy. I need you to go. And so Simone kind of has no choice but to leave because Ty is not letting up and she needs her to go. She's so scared that she's gonna hurt her or Sammy, and she just can't risk that anymore. Here's that scene. Shauna is sitting on her bed staring at the dress that she's supposedly gonna wear to the reunion, and she notices that there's something in her closet. So she opens her closet and looks at the floor, and there's glitter everywhere. Now what's interesting is that when they were following the blackmailer, they also found glitter left over where they were. So she thinks that Adam is the blackmailer because Adam was just hiding in that closet. And she panics and opens her safe and sees that all of her journals are missing. So she's in a panic because somebody has those journals and she's positive that it's Adam. Episode 8 ends with her confronting Adam, and episode 9 opens with Adam being very confused and being like, I don't know what you're talking about. What journals? He doesn't seem to know anything about it or the blackmail. Shauna starts searching Adam's apartment and she finds information about the Yellowjackets. She finds like a book about them and the magazine, and she's convinced that he's lying. Shauna stabs Adam, so Adam's dead. Here it is. Shauna goes home and sees that all of her journals have been returned. They're back. And she's like, so Adam couldn't have taken them. Jeff is being really weird. And we realize Jeff took the journals and Jeff's the blackmailer. And he breaks down and explains himself, and it turns out he did all of this for his furniture store. Him and this imbecile, Randy, did all of this for the furniture store. And Shauna realizes that she totally messed up and she just killed someone for no reason. So she panics and she tells Jeff that killed Adam because she thought that he was the blackmailer. Obviously, Jeff completely crashes out. It also turns out he never had an affair, so he's horrified that she did have an affair and that she thought that he was having an affair with a Bianca, who is one of the lone people that he's so afraid of that he blackmailed the Yellowjackets to pay back. He's just completely floored by all of this, and he's simply devastated. But what devastates this man more than anything, more than his wife cheating on him, more than his wife thinking that he cheated on her with this creepy woman named Bianca, more than Shauna killing somebody because she thought that he did something that Jeff ended up doing, none of that devastates this man more than the fact that there was no book club. That there is no book club. The book club never existed.
I can't believe you thought I was going to book club this whole time.
What? There's no book club?
Which is what brings me to my favorite picture, where he says, what? There's no book club? This poor man has been through hell, but when he finds out that there's no book club, that is his breaking point. He's just taken aback that she lied about book club. I think about this at least once a day. Jeff wants to tell the police that he killed Adam, but Shauna won't let him. She's like, you're not going to jail for me. You're not going to confess to this. Like, no one has to know that we were even involved, you know? Misty and Jessica are both chatting it up, and Jessica's kind of planting seeds that Misty has really terrible friends and trying to like stir the pot a little, get her to see like, hey, your friends suck. Trying to like earn her trust, trying to like, you know, build a bridge there. I think it's working a little bit. Susie the banker texts Natalie and updates her that she's still trying to get the information on Travis, but she doesn't have it yet, but she's working on it. Ty does not want to run for state senate anymore, and we find out that apparently Jeff read the journals years ago. So he's known about everything that happened in the wilderness for years, which is very shocking to Shauna, and she's more shocked that he stayed with her even after having read those journals. Shauna calls Ty and Natalie, and the three of them meet up at Adam's apartment. Natalie searches the body and then suggests that they call Misty because they need to get rid of the body, and Shauna kind of tells them that this is the blackmailer to save Jeff and to get rid of the body with their help, because they wouldn't help her just get rid of a random body. If they knew it was the blackmailer, that it was self-defense, then they would help, and they do. Natalie also apologizes to Misty when she asks for her help, and Misty kind of thinks that she's like making fun of her, but I think the apology's genuine. So after Natalie apologized to Misty and asked for her help, Misty shows up to Adam's apartment, and they all essentially help get rid of Adam's body. I'm not going to describe what they do, but they do a lot of things, and it's very meticulous, very serial killer coded. The girls are so lucky to have Misty, because like, who else would come up with this psychotic plan? Like, Natalie and Shauna also talk a bit, and there's a lot of like underlying tension implying some history we're not aware of. Here's photos of them doing that. All right, so we cut to the reunion, and Allie is talking to Jeff, saying a lot of things like us and we, and it's very clear that Allie is the type of person who is probably who Jessica was referring to in the beginning when she told Shauna that some people are making a lot of money off of the Yellow Jacket story. Meanwhile, they're not even involved in what happened. But the Yellow Jackets pull up to the reunion, and they look amazing. Look at them! They look so gorgeous! I love them. Also, Natalie and Misty, I love their friendship. I love their vibes. Natalie looks at the Yellow Jackets memorial display outside in the hallway, and Kevin essentially approaches her and tells her to take care of herself. This is goodbye, kind of. She said a lot of hurtful things to him because she didn't want him to get involved and she wanted to keep him safe from all of this. But I'm glad that things are amicable between them now because he really does care for her, and I can tell she really does care for him too. Shauna scolds Randy for being an idiot and for being involved in the blackmailing. And then Allie makes a speech about the Yellow Jackets, and she tells Shauna and Jeff to dance in honor of Jackie. It's very awkward, but they do it. And Shauna confirms to him that everything's taken care of. When the reunion is, ending and Misty goes home, she talks to Jessica about it. She finally decides to let Jessica go in the morning. As Jessica's leaving the next morning, Misty's talking to her about a book deal, and Jessica's like, look, this is all the stuff you're gonna get. It's gonna be great for you. You're gonna get so many good deals. Like, this is gonna be awesome, Misty. Just follow my lead. And then she realizes that Misty took her cigarettes, and so she's like, give them back. But Misty's like, they're terrible for you. But Jessica's like, come on, Misty, please. So she gives her cigarettes back very reluctantly. Jessica leaves the house, drives off, and starts smoking. And as she starts smoking, she starts to feel very sick, and she remembers Misty threatening her and threatening her father by sending him chocolates that were full of poison. And she realizes in that moment that she definitely poisoned those cigarettes, so she simply dies. Shauna and Jeff are at home watching TV, and Callie comes home and she joins them reluctantly, but also there's some healing happening in the Sadecki family, and I'm very happy about it. But things get very awkward when Shauna leaves to go get some popcorn, and on the TV is a news report about Adam Martin's disappearance, and the entire Sadecki family is like, oh, we know him. That's not good, because Shauna and Jeff both know why he's missing, but now Callie's like, wait, he's missing? And my parents are being weirdly quiet about it, so that's weird. Ty awaits the news about the election, and Natalie is not doing okay. Simone is picking up some stuff at the house. She finds a tunnel in the basement, and inside it she finds Biscuit on some sort of altar. There's also Sammy's creepy doll, and it's been ruined or like broken in some way, and what seems to be the dog's heart, so it's horrifying, and Simone is horrified to find this. Like, she is terrified. And we cut to Ty winning the election. This is Ty winning the election. And then we cut to Natalie, and she has a weapon pointed at her, and just when she's about to do it, someone breaks into her room. This group of people wearing these purple jumpsuits grab her, drag her outside, and they throw her into the back of a van, and they drive off as Susie the banker calls. Natalie can't pick up the phone because she's been kidnapped, and so she leaves a voicemail, and she says, who the fuck is Lottie Matthews? So that's this scene.
Look, I did what you asked. I dug into Travis's bank account and found out who emptied it. I think someone's following me. Who the fuck is Lottie Matthews?
This is the final scene of season 1, which leaves us with about 100 questions, like what did Susie find out? Why is it related to Lottie? Is Lottie Matthews alive? Where is she? So many questions, right? None of them will be answered today because this is the end of season 1. So that was my recap for Yellow Jackets, and I think that season 1 was probably their strongest season so far. I really do like season 2 though, but season 1 was just such a strong season. The way that they approached both the teen and adult timeline was really cohesive and interesting, and it had one of the best mysteries. Watching it grow as a show has been very interesting. Going back to season 1 was so much fun because it reminded me why I fell in love with the show in the first place. I hope this is enjoyable. I love watching Unhinged recaps. I once watched like an 8-hour video about like a random Nickelodeon show that I believe I've never actually watched all the way through, but it was so much fun to watch. I also watched all of Mike's Lost videos. Those were hilarious. I loved them. That video was more enjoyable to me than the actual show. So I just had to make one for Yellow Jackets. It has become one of my favorite shows after all, and so making one of these just seemed like the perfect way to put all of my hyper-focus into an actual project that was conceivable. I really, really, really love hearing people's thoughts on Yellow Jackets. Just please remember to be respectful of other people's opinions. I'd love to know what people think, because season 1 was a really good season, I feel like. I think it was definitely their strongest. I do think that season 2 was also really good though, and I loved season 3. I know that it's kind of controversial right now, but I loved season 3. I enjoyed it. As a hardcore fan, I'm enjoying the Yellow Jackets resurrection reaction right now because everyone's watching it and it's very fun to see. I hope you have an amazing day, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is for you when you're seeing this. And this was very fun to make. Bye bye.